of the world consider telecoms infrastructure as a national asset. From China to India down to the United States, countries impose strict sanctions on individuals who destroy such assets. So aside from the aspects of destruction, there appears to be myriads of other challenges, prospects, and its profound impact on West Africa's digital economy. And so the maiden edition of the West Africa Telecoms Infrastructure Summit and Exhibition, codename WATIS 2023, is set to thoroughly examine crucial digital transformation trends and development in the telecom infrastructure sector. My name is Louisa Olani, and it's an ultimate pleasure and honor to be your master of ceremony for today. So please, I want you to appreciate yourselves by giving yourselves a round of applause for making our time to be here. We are not smiling. Is it the economic situation? Okay, if you have full tank of your fuel in your car, clap for yourself. Mr. Yemi is only that clap. You must be a Yahoo boy. But I mean, we're in interesting times, and the grind must continue irrespective of. And I want to say a very big thank you to Technology Mirror for putting this together. It is not easy to put events of this magnitude together, even at a venue like this, but quite a lot of things happened within the next 24 hours. We had the Honorable Minister, summoning most of our invited guests to Abuja, and of course, that is paramount. But of course, they're sending in their representatives, and most of them will be connecting to us via online platform. So please bear with us as we continue. The crux of the matter won't be watered down, because all of the intentions, all of the discussions, all of the conversations that today's event holds will definitely come to the fore, irrespective of the number of people that are seated here. We want to appreciate very greatly those that came out very early. The event was scheduled for 9. We're Africans, and we hope that very soon the African time mentality will be wiped off totally, and it's going to be made possible by you and I. So please give yourselves a round of applause one more time, and just help me welcome the neighbor, someone beside you, behind you, in front of you, and tell the person welcome. Because I would have loved to do that myself, but just say something. I can see Mr. Olude with a cool tie. Compliment the tie, the beautiful lady. You could just say one or two cool things about someone sitting beside you. You never can tell where that will take us to. All right, without wasting much of our time, I want to go through some few recognitions here, and then we'll delve into the welcome address, and the panel session will kickstart. I want to assure us that we're not going to stay beyond the allotted time that we're supposed to spend here today. Trust me, we're going to walk within time. At this point, I want to welcome very specially a man that came before any of us here, and it's always a delight listening to him. He is the Chief Technical Officer, Africa Data Center. Africa Data Center is Africa's largest network of interconnected carrier and cloud-neutral data center facilities, bringing international experts to the Pan-African market. Of course, they are your trusted partner for rapid and secure data center services and interconnections across African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to give a warm applause to Dr. Krishnan Ranganath. A round of applause for him, please. I know he's somewhere around. He's supposed to be chairing a panel session, and we actually did crave his indulgence to exercise a little more patience, because he was here even before 9. You say maybe because he's an Oyibo man, he's not an African. But again, he's been here with us, and we understand the peculiarities of the Nigerian situation. So please give a round of applause for Dr. Chris one more time. Thank you very much. Of course, accompanying him, also equally arriving here quite in time, is the head of sales, West Africa, Africa Data Center, Mr. Eugene Uka. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Also, a very distinguished guest that will also be taking one of our lead papers this morning. He is the CEO of RS Engineering. Please join me to make welcome Engineer Spencer Itive. A round of applause for him, please. Also join me to make welcome Mr. Adeshino John Adewumi. He is the Chief Executive Officer and Founder, Trade Lender. Adeshino is a social entrepreneur committed to using technology to support small retail businesses. He's been represented this morning by Oyin Olaniyan. A round of applause to her, please. Thank you very much for coming. I was complimenting a very young man with a nice red tie before. He's always looking dapper. He is the Executive Secretary, Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria, ATCON, the industry body protecting the interest of all telecom players in the industry. His top-notch advocacy in the industry earned him a name among the Nigerian top 50 digital enablers. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, help me to make welcome Mr. Ajibola Olude, my Oga at the top. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Also, we have our online audience, and it seems most of our attendees are online. We'll be recognizing them as soon as the name comes in. But I know Mr. David Afolayo that will be taking us through the Anambra story when it comes to all of the issues that has to do with right of way. He's there joining us virtually. Let's give him a round of applause. You can also e-wave us from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you very much. Like I said, most of our key speakers had to, rush into Abuja this morning as the very Oga at the toppest Oga at the top duty calls. And most likely they'll be joining us virtually as the time go by. So please, let's also understand that with the audience. Again, with us in our midst is a sales manager, NX Wireless Limited, Juliet Osigwelem. A round of applause for her, please. Thank you very much for coming. As the names coming, I would recognize. I also have the Association of Technology Reporters. The ESCOs are here giving thumbs up and support to their very own colleague, Mr. Azaya. They call us the distinguished men of the press. I wonder why they don't put men and women, but we're all good. A round of applause for our press. A round of applause for all NITRA representatives, NITRA members here. We'll be getting a goodwill message when it's time. Thank you very much for coming and supporting your own. All right, at this point, like I said, we're not going to waste too much time. All our invited guests, friends, and well-wishers, both online and physically here present, we welcome you all. The official welcome will be done by the organizer. But before then, can we be upstanding? Let's take the national anthem. Do we have it cued in by, or we'll just sing it together? Okay. The same way you did it for them at the Senate, let's do it here. And I don't want anybody to chew their mouths. Our microphone is working. Are you ready? We'll take the second stanza. 1, 2, go. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow and live in just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. A round of applause for yourselves and also for our country, Nigeria. We all knew it. There was nobody that was chewing the mouth. We're proud Nigerian. If you're a proud Nigerian, please take your seat. Thank you very much. All right, at this point, I am going to be inviting the man that has brought all of us here together for his welcome address. Each time I try to pronounce his surname, I tend to bite my tongue. But today I've done quite a lot of rehearsals, and I hope I do not fall my hand. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to make welcome the co-founder, Technology Mirror Media, Mr. Isaiah Area Warren. A round of applause for him. I try, Abby.
Thank you, my sister. I saw with, where do I start from now? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols duly observed. It's my pleasure to to have all of us gathered here this morning. And like as they always say, the welcome address is always the shortest address. And the address is to tell you welcome. Some will say a carbo. Those will say wabota. Thank you for coming. We are here this morning because of an incident that happened some time ago. I went into a boutique to go and buy some clothing. And when I got into the boutique, I brought out my ATM card. And the woman said our ATM machine is not working. I said, okay. I said, let's just try. And let's see what will happen. So I put my ATM card into the POS. And I got an alert, bang, bang, bang. I've been debited. I don't want to mention the bank because that is it's one of my future sponsors. And then the woman looked at her phone. There was no credit alert. I said, Madam, see my phone. They've debited me. Can I go? Give me the item. The woman said, no. So you have to wait. Or you come back. When I've seen the alert that they've credited me, then I will give you the item. I say, this is a serious matter. We talk and talk and talk and talk. We argued. The argument was dragging. I saw that she was so bent on ensuring that until she sees the alert, I should not release the item onto me. I said, okay, fine. So I left the item. I went to where I was going. Later on in the evening, I came back to her shop. I said, Madam, how far? Have you seen the alert? She said, yes. I have seen it. The major cause of that is what has brought us here. The failure of telecom infrastructure. And like the theme rightly displayed, the industry is an ecosystem of interdependent partners. All the partners have a role to play. It's like the chain of the motorbike. When there is a problem in one of the knob, what happens? The motorbike will not run. The same thing with our industry. All the key players, they are all connected. Data center, the telcos, those of them in the mobile money sector, they are all interconnected. And once there is a glitch in any of them, the digital economy dream becomes what? More or less like a comatose. So I'm not the expert. I'm a writer and I'm a journalist. But we have the experts here this morning. And I've tried in my power to bring them together. But like as they say, man proposes, God does what? And so there was a late hour event that happened overnight. Like as my MC has just said, most of key players in the industry should be here. At the last minute, by 5 a.m. this morning, I got a call that the Honorable Minister summoned them late yesterday for an emergency meeting. And it was too difficult for them to begin to make a replacement for someone to represent them at this function. But good enough, we have a good house. We have noble men and noble women that are going to join us tackle this issue today. And I urge every one of us to listen to them. And there is something in every statement, in every sentence that they are going to make. And I'm sure are going to enjoy this section. Welcome. Like as they say in French, bon appétit. Thank you.
A round of applause for him. Mr. Isaiah has just spoken French to us. A round of applause again. Let's appreciate him. It's not easy. Like I said, it took loads of sleepless nights to put this together. And then, things can happen overnight, but it doesn't debar the movement to go on. Like they say in Boy Scouts, be prepared at every point in time. Thank you very much, Technology Mirror. Like you said, for every sentence, for every discussion today, it will be geared towards the goal of addressing some of the infrastructure deficits that you think you've noticed in your years of reportage and also experiencing as a Nigerian. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him one more time. It is not easy at all. For occasions like this, of course, we have, industry stakeholders, men, distinguished ladies and gentlemen that will always give thumbs up, and also appreciate organizers with a goodwill message. So I'm going to be taking quite a few goodwill messages, and then we go straight to the first lead paper presentation and all of that. And to kick the ball rolling, of course, we're going to start off with our industry stakeholders. At this point, join me to make a welcome the young gentleman, Executive Secretary ATCON, Mr. Ajibola Olude, for the goodwill message. He's setting the tone for today's goodwill message. Just a round of applause for him as he comes. It is your red tie that I'm endeared to this morning. Please let's appreciate him as he comes. Please let's appreciate him. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Wow. First and foremost, I want to commend and extend ATCON's appreciation to the organizer of this industry improving event. That's my brother, Mr. Isaiah. I've known him for more than 20 years, and for us at ATCON, the team is apt, and the teams we definitely speak to issues that the industry is currently confronted with. The team is the future of infrastructure, connectivity and service, a new interdependent ecosystem of partners. Like he said in his opening, in his welcome address, you will agree with me that we are fast approaching what is called digital economy. And for digital economy to work for every one of us, we must get our infrastructure right. It's from the look of things, everything depends on telecom infrastructure. The banking sector depend on telecom infrastructure. Virtually all the sectors in the Nigerian economy depend on telecom infrastructure. So there is a need for other sectors to partner with the telecom companies in order to develop a seamless, service in their respective sectors. Once again, we appreciate what Mr. Isaiah is doing, and he will continue to have our support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate Mr. Ajibola Olude for that goodwill message from ATCON. All right, we're moving straight to the second, and this time around it will be coming from the industry where Mr. Isaiah belongs. That is NITRA. I will be inviting Mr. Samson Akintaro, the Financial Secretary of Nitra for a goodwill message. Please let's appreciate him as he comes. Please, can the technical team get set the speaker from Anambra State for his goodwill? I hope he's online. Mr. David Afolayan, thank you very much. He'll be next after now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everyone. And I want to stand on the existing protocol. I'm here representing NITRA, an industry association of about 50 journalists covering the ICT industry. So we have been the mouth of the industry for years, and it's a pleasure to be here today to witness what one of us is doing in the same way that we've been advocating for the development of the industry. A lot of issues have been in the pipeline or in the front burner about infrastructure. And that is why we see today's theme, the future of infrastructure, connectivity services, a new independent ecosystem of partners. We see it as very timely and very germane, because without infrastructure, Nigeria is moving into broadband. We are talking of 4G, we are talking of 3G and all that. But the key issue, the key thing that has made us to be where we are today is the infrastructure. Because despite the several years of telecom liberalization in Nigeria, we still have infrastructure challenges. So, and I believe the discussions here today is really going to point us to the direction which we should go as a country. And we as the industry writers, we are also here to amplify the voices. Everything that is said here today, be rest assured that the world will hear about it. So on that note, I want to congratulate our brother, Mr. Isaiah, and I wish us a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure that at the end of today, all of the discussions here will take front pages of our newspapers, blogs, and televisions at the end of today. Thank you very much. Let's give it up for Nitra one more time. Please, is Mr. Sunday Afolayan ready online? While we're getting set to cue him in for his goodwill message, we have in our midst, representing the Anambra State government, is the SSA to the Governor, Anambra State Liaison Office, Mr. Leo Chiegbuka Esquire. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you very much, sir, for coming, and we do appreciate you. We can't wait to hear, the story of the successes made in that part of town. Is Mr. Sunday ready? Hello, sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much, Louisa. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reverend Sunday Folayan, and I'm representing Mr. Chukwuemeka Fred Agbata, the MD Chief Executive of the Anambra State ICT Agency. I'd like to congratulate the organizers of this laudable event for considering a very critical aspect of our journey from nothing to something in Nigeria, and especially Mr. Isaiah, the convener of this program, for the vision behind it. I salute all the captains of the industry who are present in this program, and I wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much, and do have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Reverend Sunday Folayo. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you all the way from where you're talking to us from. Thank you. Let's appreciate him, please. A round of applause. Okay, before we move on to other speeches, I want to appreciate in a very special way Engineer Gbenga Adebayo, Chairman of Alton. He's joining us virtually. I saw him there. Let's appreciate him with a round of applause. despite the busy schedule, he still took out time to join us, and hopefully we'll be hearing from him in the course of the program. And to all our online guests and participants, you might just give us an emoji wave from wherever you're listening to us from, and do be assured that we're going to be taking in all of your contributions as the program go by. While that speech was on, I saw Mr. Chidi Ajuze, CEO of WTS, walked in. I saw him earlier. Please let's give him a round of applause. Oh, thank you very much, sir, for coming. It's always a delight listening to you. Thank you for honoring the invitation. At this point, like I said, due to the exigencies we have on ground, we have to tweak a whole lot of stuff on the program that will also make us meet up to time that we've spent. So I'm going to move very quickly to our lead presentation. And this time around, we'll be inviting Engineer Spencer Itive, CEO RS Energy, to talk to us about telecoms infrastructure challenges, the pains of interrelated players of the ecosystem, and the consumer's quest. A round of applause for him, please, as he comes. Let us appreciate him as he comes on stage. We'll take notes, share comments, questions when it is time. And of course, our very first set of panelists will do justice in the course of the discussion. Please let's appreciate him one more time as he comes. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm correct. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege for me to be here this morning. I want to quickly thank the organizer of this program, the Technology Mirror. I want to appreciate them for this that they have put together to address certain issues in the telecommunication family. I want to say that I'm delighted to be here, even as I count it as a privilege to be handling the lead paper today. This paper, which is telecom infrastructure challenges, the pain of interrelated players of the ecosystem and the customer's quest, was supposed to be handled by Engineer Benga Adebayo, but is unavoidably absent. So I will try as much as possible to do justice to the paper. Once again, my name is Engineer Spencer Itive. I'm of RS Engineering Global Limited. I want to quickly also apologize that you may not be having the paper on slide. We may not be having the slides, probably later. So please just try to bear with me. Our subtopic is telecom infrastructure challenges, the pain of interrelated players of the ecosystem of and the customer's quest. The realm of telecommunication, no doubt, is undergoing a profound transformation, which is marked by intricate web of partnership and collaboration that shape the future of the infrastructure, connectivity, and services. In this age of rapid technological advancements, the traditional style of doing things within the telecommunication industry is fast giving way to a new interdependent ecosystem of partners. In this conference, we are going to focus on the evolving landscape, where telecom company, technology providers, government, innovative startup coverage to propel the industry forward. The overview. The telecommunication industry serves as the backbone of modern society, enabling global connectivity, information exchange, and technological innovation. Historically, it has been characterized by structures, hierarchy of service providers, each responsible for specific segments of the telecommunication ecosystem. However, the past few decades have witnessed an algorithmic shift in the industry dynamics. I want us to understand that our future, which is the future of infrastructure, connectivity, and services, has been shaped or is being shaped. As we tend to move, or as we move from physical infrastructure to digital, the rise of broadband, self-driving cars, smart infrastructures, the shift to remote work and telemedicine has also had significant implications for infrastructure. I would like us to quickly look at some key insights into what we are looking at today, into the future of infrastructure. I want us to consider digital transformation. Infrastructure is becoming more digital. With technologies like the AI, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and so on, this is actually what being shaped. The industry is being shaped. I also want us to consider sustainability. No doubt, there is a growing focus on green infrastructure and urban planning for walking and socializing, etc. Industry now is actually considering fully environmental sustainability. And that is the right way, the new trend of things. We must have to focus on how we move fully to sustainable environments. I want us to also we're going to also look at equitable access. The goal is to provide effective coverage and affordable broadband access. According to the federal government, that can cater for about 90% of the population by year 2025. That is according to the agenda for the deployment of the broadband. That by 2025, we should be able to have a coverage that can cover at least 90% of the entire population. How do we realize that? It's left for us. It's part of our discussion here today. Then cybersecurity. We should also understand also that as infrastructure begins to go digital, there are usually threats, data threats everywhere. So we must have to focus actively on cybersecurity, on how to protect our data. We should not forget that we actually have challenging data. One is to get the correct data and also how to protect them. Then we should also consider public-private collaboration. This is key. Platforms and ecosystems are playing a crucial role in enabling the digital economy. Now, they offer exponential growth opportunity and scale through network effects. Another thing again we are going to be considering, or we should take note, is infrastructure sharing. That is co-location. Good practices such as infrastructure sharing will go a long way to help to reduce the gap in this industry. International coordinations, public-private collaborations are instrumental in leveraging technology and business model innovations. Our challenges. No doubt there are enormous challenges in this sector, and lot of challenges in this sector. We are going to consider the few ones that we can know, we can lay our hands on. For the sector to move digitally means that there are challenges, heavy load of challenges, which we may not be able to exhaust here today. Challenges such as cybersecurity. The telecommunication ecosystem becomes more interconnected. It becomes increasingly susceptible to cyber security threats, which I said before. So this is a key challenge in this area. Cyber security, our data are not safe anymore. From your phone, somebody can hack from every system. So we need to focus on this. Number 2 is expertise. Big data analysis need professional data scientists that can understand the technology of big data, of data analytics, and marry it with the business objectives of the telecom operators. So experts are hugely needed here. Number 3, regulatory complexity. Regulatory frameworks must adapt to the evolving technology landscape. Government and regulatory body face the challenge of ensuring fair competitions while promoting innovations. We understand here that regulatory complexity, there are not much collaboration. So the collaboration should be healthy. We need more of the stakeholders to collaborate. Digital inclusions. Connectivity, as we connect globally, our connectivity is expanding rapidly. Digital inclusions remain a challenge. Partnership between government, telecommunication companies, and no-profit organizations can bridge the digital divide, ensuring that undivided community have access to essential services and opportunity. We also need that we have challenges of financial and social inclusions. So they should be robust. We should try to be robust in area of removing barrier social-wise and financial-wise as well. This has not been done, so it's a challenge. Another challenge again I feel should be discussed here is also overtaxation. We had a conference some time ago in which this was brought to the fore. Telecom industry is heavily overtaxed, and it's time for government to really work on that to try to see how this overtaxation can be reduced. Government needs to reduce tax on telecom infrastructure. Government should also be sensitive to telecom industry as well. We are also going to look at security of telecom assets as well. This will be, I think, if you look generally, this is where mine should go to first. Security of telecom assets. Telecom assets are not properly secured. A lot of vandalization are currently going on. Theft cases, assets in the field are being vandalized. Generators, fiber optics cables, backup batteries, HVAC or air conditioning units are being vandalized, are being stolen. Even diesel. Of course, we realize today that a diesel is about 1,000 naira per liter. So imagine, heavy investment is being put into that. If these are being stolen in the field, it will create a lot of crisis for the telecom industry. Therefore means we may not have diesel to run our generators. And if there's no power, it also means that we will not get the service that we actually want and need. So government must have to put in efforts to secure the assets in this sector. Government needs to collaborate with stakeholders. In fact, all the stakeholders in the telecom family must have to come together. The MNOs, the IFRACO, or the TAWACO, all the subscribers, everyone that have a stake in the telecom must come together to resolve this. Telecom companies have complained of huge losses in terms of their infra that be stolen in the field. Government is working on that. Working to reduce the theft incidences in the field, but it's not enough. The incident of connivers, community disturbances should be taken note of. In the field, we see people connive to steal infrastructure. And at the end of the day, they just get away with it. No punishment, nothing is done. So the police must be tasked on this to ensure telecom infrastructure are well secured. We also have other challenges as well, such as regulatory hurdles. Complex regulatory environments can hinder collaboration, especially when they create barrier to market entry or innovations. So that area must have to be taken note of. Competitive tensions also. Collaboration is essential, yes. Telecom companies often compete fiercely with one another. This needs to be balanced so that the competition does not create problem within the family. Data privacy and security. Excuse me. In an era of data-driven services, ensuring data privacy and security in partnership is a paramount concern. There must be partnership in this area. Stakeholders must have to come together to work out modality on the safety and the security of our data. Strategies for fostering collaborations, for fostering cooperation among stakeholders. We have to understand that within the stakeholder, there must be open standards. Encouraging the adoption of open standards can facilitate interoperability and collaborations. Excuse me. Excuse me, please. Okay. So we need to collaborate. Government incentive. Government can or should provide incentive based on what I've said before, as per maybe reducing taxation. Then share objective, clearly defining shared objectives and goal is fundamental to the success of any partnership. So let's look at this now. The shift towards interdependent ecosystem of partners. How do we arrive here? As the heart of the transformation is the recognition that no single entity can meet the multifaceted demands of the digital age in isolation. So this is the reason why we should collaborate. This is the reason why we should all come together. A complex tapestry or partnership now weave together telecom companies, technology giants, governments, and a thriving ecosystem of startups. This partnership are redefining the boundaries of what is possible in telecommunication. Digital economy. The digital economy presents several challenges that need to be addressed for its sustainable growth and development. Some of them I have mentioned before, but I just want to mention two. Digital divides. The digital divide refers to the gap between those who have access to digital technology and those who do not. Unequal access to technology, internet connectivity, and digital skill can exacerbate existing social and economic inequality. Privacy and security, regulatory framework, skill gap, ethical considerations are some of those challenges that we have talked about. As I begin to round off, the future of telecommunication is unfolding in a remarkable manner, driven by a dynamics and interdependent ecosystem of partners. We have explored the intricate tapestry of collaborations and partnership among telecom company, technology provider, governments, and startups, highlighting their profound implications for infrastructure, connectivity, and services. In this new era, several key takeaways, which I've mentioned before, should be well taken note of. I've mentioned collaborations, technology advancements, inclusive connectivity, collaborations are bridging the digital divide, extending connectivity to rural, underserved areas. This fosters digital extending connectivity. This fosters digital inclusion, economic growth, and improve quality of life for citizens. Economic growth and sustainability. The telecommunication ecosystem contributes to economic growth by creating jobs, stimulating investments, and supporting businesses. Moreover, it is increasingly aligning with sustainability goals by developing energy efficient infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Please let's appreciate him again. He deserves a better round of applause. Engineer Spencer Itive, CEO RS Engineering. This is such a very quick one there. It was an impromptu stuff, and he did justice to the topic. He highlighted the need for more collaboration among stakeholders. Also, the fact, the need for government to continue or to take security of telecom infrastructure at the front burner. And again, the need for incentives and tax reductions for players in the industry, amongst other issues he so highlighted in the course of that conversation. A round of applause for him, please. We'll be delving straight in depth into that because we have players here that will be taking us on the first panel session. Permit me to invite to the podium our panelists for this. Engineer Agbenga Adebayo is supposed to be giving his own thoughts on this, but it appears he's not online at this point. So please, as soon as he comes up, do let us know so we can give him the floor. But now let's give a warm applause to Juliet Osigwelem of Exit Wireless. Please, a round of applause for her. She comes to the stage. Joining us on this panel session is Mr. Adeshino John Adeomi, CEO and founder, trade lender, represented by Oyin Olaniyan. A round of applause for her. She comes. Also, a man that I always look forward to listening to him at events like this, the CEO WTS, Chidi Ajuzie. A round of applause for him as he comes. And the lead chair of this panel is none other than the CTO of Africa Data Center, Dr. Krish Ranganath. A round of applause for him, please, as he comes. You are blessed among women, don't worry. Thank you very much. Please, I'll need one more microphone. If you have one or two, cool, so that we will not stress the panelists while they discuss. Let's appreciate them one more time.
Thank you. So morning all. Yeah, well, a bit late than morning, afternoon, a bit of early afternoons. I think we should start with an introduction. Ladies first.
Okay. My name is Juliet Osigwelem. I am the sales manager for InXGen Wireless.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Oyin Olaniyan. I'm the CEO at Trade Lender.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Chidi Ajuzi. I'm the CEO of WTS Projects.
Yeah. Because of the importance of this session, we'll be having one more panelist joining. Please join me to make welcome Mr. Ophili of Color Plus. He has his own concerns concerning the topic, and he will want to air his own view. Please, let's appreciate him as he comes. Thank you. So is your introduction that we're waiting for.
Welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Michael Philly. I'm CEO of Coloplus. Thank you.
So as we all know, our typical challenges with our terrain, correct? From the industry, it is much familiar to all of us. We all served in the industry to understand these challenges, and we always work around these challenges and try to move forward, whether we get proper support or not, because the industry need to survive. Rather, instead of thriving, it is surviving now. It is on a survival mode. Let's take anything under telecom. This is simply in a survival mode. So I would like to ask the first question to Juliet. Juliet, correct? What are the typical challenges you face in your day-to-day operations?
Okay, so I'm going to be talking in general about telecoms companies. Like the lead presenter said earlier, some of the challenges that these companies face is in terms of infrastructure. So if your infrastructure, which is the backbone of your enterprise, is not robust enough, you would definitely have challenges, be it your network infrastructure, your data center. So, and I can actually say that most of the problems that companies face, not just telecoms companies, are revolving around the infrastructure, your network infrastructure, and security as well. With the way the world is moving fast, as more new technologies come out, there are cyber crimes that also evolve with it. So those are the areas that should be talked about. Thank you.
Um, let me first of all introduce or speak about trade lender to give some context about the challenge, one of the major challenges that we face. So trade lender is a digital bank for SMEs. We provide SMEs with financial solutions to help them start, scale, and grow their businesses. So we're on a quest to drive financial inclusion for SMEs across Nigeria. You would see SMEs in the northern part of Nigeria, far across, farmers that have their own businesses. A lot of them are not technologically inclined, and also one of the major challenges that we found when trying to onboard these people is that there is lack of coverage. So without data, you can't necessarily. Digital is nothing without data. You can't necessarily onboard people on your platform when you don't have data to bring them on your platform. We even experienced that in Lagos as well. For instance, we recently went to Mile 12 Yaba markets. In trying to get these people on the platform, the major challenge we were facing was network, just coverage across these areas. We are not able to onboard them. We have to then revert to onboarding them offline, which is not necessarily how we see or how we want to drive our business, because we're a financial technology business.
Okay, so I think I'm a very late adopter to this panel. So, but I'll try and okay. So typically for the issues that telecom players and infrastructure people in the space face, there are three key things that actually drives adoption of telecom and digital. One is availability, the other is accessibility, the other is affordability. These three things, maybe those are the three things I need to talk about. In terms of availability, if you look at Nigeria's tech ecosystem, you're looking at, I don't know if I would say this is the real figure or this is just a hypothetical number. We say there are about 220 million of us. Although for the regulator, for instance, they use 190 million for their official numbers. But for this 220 million population, we say about 90 million or thereabout are digitally empowered. So they say digital penetration or internet penetration is about 47%, which is typically in that range. We have about roughly around 35,000 base stations in terms of availability covering the nation. We have about, 35,000 towers. We have about 127,000 base stations, covering the nation. So for a country that is almost 994,000 square kilometers, that's actually insufficient for that number of people as well. So there is still a digital gap in terms of infrastructure, a huge gap. So two things. One is in terms of even investing to close those gaps so that at least we do have a lot more coverage and a lot more availability. And of course, the next question is the issue of accessibility. Accessibility is also a very complex discussion because you also be talking around how are these assets protected, what is the cost of the services delivered, not just about that cost as well, but also how is this in terms of reach to the users. The last World Bank study, they said there are about
they said about 96 million Nigerians have access to broadband service. That means access to broadband service on World Bank definition means at least they are within 5 kilometers of fiber reach. Because of course, in 5G, 4G technologies, you need high-speed connectivity to power those infrastructure. So accessibility is another very quick issue. And of course, if you look at our mobile coverage as well, there are also gaps in terms of reaching out to, so we still have underserved and unserved areas that need service. And this is just on the telecom infra side. There is also the digital empowerment side, which is much more about digital education, digital literacy. There is also, look, I'll be honest with you, there's communities you go to in Nigeria, even no matter how much of the digital you explain, you will still need to have a kiosk for somebody to explain and them understand. So digital literacy is another very key critical thing that happens. Then of course the issue of affordability. And in fact, it's even much more critical now with some of the economic issues we're going through. So people also being able to afford these services. Maybe the last thing I wanted to also mention on this cycle is about the protection of these assets. If you're an operator, operators in this space will understand. If you're an operator here, you will understand that I was at an event last week, where one of the operators was mentioning that at every point in time, 10% of their assets are impaired. Essentially, they can't reach those assets because either it's a community issue, either it's vandalized, or there's a security threat. I have assets within some clusters in Niger State where I cannot reach today because there's a whole lot of bandit activities in those assets. So one of the challenges, of course, is securing the telecom assets as built. So I think these are the major talking points, perhaps, that we can highlight in terms of the issues around. So clearly, there is an infrastructure issue in terms of reach and spread. And then, of course, there is the access to those infrastructure. And then, obviously, there's protection of those assets. And then there is the affordability issue. I'm sure most of us in this hall are the lucky class of people who can afford data. But there's, like my colleague here said, there's a whole lot of people still in this space who cannot afford the data. So those are the real critical discussions, I think, that we still need to have and the gaps we have.
I'm a provider of infrastructure. I do co-location and infrastructure sharing. And why I decided to join Isaiah today is so that I will actually tell you the practical challenges. There are a lot of theoretical things are in the field. What we're saying here is we are talking about the data centers. We are talking about towers. We're talking about fiber, both the international landed ones and the metro fiber. We're talking about a lot of things, the digital telecom infrastructure in the marketplace. I can tell you that 90% of the data centers in Nigeria are in Lagos. And I don't know how you want to spread and do 70% or 90% broadband penetration in Nigeria with all the data centers in Lagos. It takes more than the head of John the Baptist to move to do metro fiber in Nigeria. You cannot cross any community without paying heavily. I'm telling you, you cannot build towers in some places in Nigeria. You cannot build them. I build towers, I own towers, and I can tell you that at a certain time, you may decide not to build, even if you have reason to build. And the operators, the MNOs, don't build any longer. They give this task to the infracos, they give the task to the towercos, and you are meant to build in some dangerous areas. So let us come and be practical about the whole issue. To build one tower will cost you almost your life or the life of your engineers. We've lost a lot of engineers in some states in the north because you needed serious security cover to build a tower or lay fiber. I don't know how many states have fiber. We're saying how many metro. There are some states I can bet you don't have fiber in such states. Because to take a metro fiber to some of those states, you will need heavy load of security to do them, not funding this time around. So the regulator has done, the main regulator has done a lot, but the truth is that we have a lot of regulators. Most of the states, I learned there are some state representatives here. They are regulators on their own. Local governments are regulators. They are non-state actors in regulatory affair of telecom. You cannot diesel your sites. There are some states in the southwest. Anytime you want to step into those sites, you pay. And even if you are bringing 10 liters of diesel, you pay. So I don't know. We're going to treat the challenges. I'm just enumerating just a few of them. But practically speaking, the challenges are enormous. We need to go, the regulator, okay, let us talk about right of way. Only few states gave us zero. Some states are charging heavily. So if you look at do economics of it, the return on investment on going to a state where you have to pay right of way heavily, it's better you do it in Lagos. I'm not saying that Lagos is free, but at least your return on investment will be fine. So you see there are some states here, you cannot talk of broadband. POS, ordinary POS, sorry to use the word ordinary, you cannot do in some areas because you cannot get data. There's this satellite system we want to use. How many of these people can afford it? That's why Chidi was talking about affordability. If I deploy at the rate we are supposed to deploy in Lagos, I deploy to a state in maybe in water side of Delta State, nobody's going to buy from you. So let me end this one now because next session I will be there.
You know, Doc, you mentioned about security. Of course, that is one of the key issues, not limiting to Nigeria. Practically, this is a key issues across Africa, correct? At least in some part of Nigeria, is much safer. If you travel down to maybe DRC, it's a different story we are facing, correct? But is that actually stopping us not doing the development? Because, see, Nigeria is not Lagos as far as I am concerned. 24 million population. Maybe out of that 60% is based Lagosians, balance 40 is a floating population, correct? So are we saying that Lagos, part of Abuja, part of Port Harcourt is Nigeria, that is 40 million, maybe 35 to 40 million, and the remaining 160, 170 as nothing? The issue comes is that we all face challenges. But I'm sure that we will not be able to face it, or we will not be able to fix it maybe in 10 years. It is a long-term project. So what is your thought process to address the security concerns, which is actually stopping, practically saying, I'm saying the word stopping, the infrastructure development across the country? What is your thought process? Is it regulation, or do we need sanitation, or do we need addressing it from a community level, or a top-down approach, or a bottoms-up approach? What is your thought process? Because you are into a core infrastructure, so you know this better than all of us sitting here. So,
the first question was to enumerate the challenges. The next line will be solutions. So you have asked the right question. We're still deploying towers. We're still laying fibers. We're doing a lot of things. We're still doing them to make sure we achieve the broadband plan as enumerated by agreed by the industry and the operator, the regulator. What we have decided to do, or what we are doing now, is to align properly with the community. Yes, if the community says it wants 10 million naira, you negotiate and build your tower or lay a fiber. What we're saying is that how fast can we deploy into these places? If government can support us with some form of community relations from their end, we don't want force, because when you build a tower or when you lay fiber and you must maintain it, the police comes and helps you one day to deploy it. You will be coming there in the next 10 years to maintain it, and you'll be meeting this community. So there's nothing you can do about force. It's not force. You must negotiate. So what we're doing is to alignment with the communities, and you deploy. Yeah, actually, there's increase in number of quantum of infrastructure we deployed over the years. When we started in 2007, we had less than 50. We started with only 50 towers. 50 towers from the infrastructure sharing perspective. Now everything is about infrastructure sharing. One of the operators is doing about 16,000, another doing about 10,000. And we have, I don't know the number you put today, I think it's about 37. Well, we need almost 70,000. 67,000, but I think it should be up to more than 70,000 to give you good quality service. Especially with the 5G, you even need much more. 3 times that, because the radius for expansion is shrinking, and you must need more. So if you need more than 37,000 or 40,000 that we have now, there's needed a lot of support. Secondly is the financial support. We cannot do infrastructure with, sorry to say, local funding because of the interest element. Infrastructure does not pay immediately. The minimum you can get is between 4 years and 5 years on your ROI. And the bank that's going to give you long-term loan, the interest will be huge. So we need some form of support from non-bank funders to enable us deploy faster. It's going to be faster because the rural areas the underserved areas need a lot of this infrastructure, even much more than Lagos. You need to talk to your mother in the village on a video to make sure she's alive and well. You understand? And you need to send money to her and she can just go to the next POS and pick her cash. So we need to do it more. We need support from every angle. Thank you.
What's your thoughts? You are also into hardcore infrastructure.
Okay, so businesses expand on two fronts. Is either you are making a business case that economics is right for you to expand, or you are getting incentives to go to those places. So, and this is the two ways typically businesses, infrastructure businesses expanded. Either you make a business case and you are able to fund it, or get a patient capital from the banks, long-term loans, or you get incentives from the government that is able to support you. So, if you look at, the question around Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and the rest. So typically the economics works for those numbers. I'm able to roll out infrastructure, I'm able to roll out services, and I think the market in those areas can pay for the service and they can support it. So once you start going into unserved clusters or where you have digital gaps, there has to be a kind of policy around it. There has to be a kind of incentive for you to go to those places, which is why even whether it's the ITU or the government or whatever regulator has funds like USPF that are supposed to create incentives for operators to go to those locations. Now, it hasn't worked that aggressively well, of course, because Nigeria is a very peculiar case. We talked around access to locations, we talked around clusters. I've tried to build infrastructure in some places, and the community stops me and says, I said, okay, so this is our own oil. This cluster is our own oil. So you have to pay a different fee to get access to these places. So these additional incentives we're talking around is what will help expand service, besides the economics that operators have started to go in. Today we say we have roughly around 100,000 kilometers of fiber in the nation. We need another 100,000 kilometers. That's a huge investment to make, very huge. A whole of that will not happen because the operators will want to go there willingly. It means there has to be incentives to go there. If you also look at, in terms of financial inclusion, there's a whole lot of the population that, I was in a conference like 2 weeks ago where they were talking about that perhaps more than 70% of Nigerians are unbanked, which is why digital banks are a very big thing today. Everybody wants to go to the digital space to go to those banks. So I think the incentives are a very critical component now that has to come, so that at least that helps us cover the digital gaps that we're talking around having. But I think also another very critical thing also is to, investments come especially on reputation. Once you're able to cover reputation, which could include security, could include security of the assets. So once you're able to cover things around reputational risk, you're able to cover reputational risk. There are places that as an operator, if you go to today and you put in infrastructure there, and you go in and tell your investors or your funders that you're going to a certain cluster, they on their own will want to hands off because of the reputation issues around those clusters. So I think those are very critical things that we have to beat. So besides the economics, the issues around funding and investment, and then subvention, intervention kind of funding is very critical. Once we cover those, I think we'll be good.
To a B2C model, correct?
B2B actually. B2B
model.
Yeah.
So how this all challenges getting affected to you on the similar line? Of
How has
course,
it
of course,
affected
there is an infrastructure, what we call unavailability of infrastructure, rather I can say a proper infrastructure, correct? So that is where everything is getting into, correct? So how it is getting affected into your bottom line of your business?
I think one of the how it has majorly affected us is we're not able to scale as much as we want, and then we're not able to onboard people in the communities that we want. So, for instance, recently we went to Kaduna and tried to onboard some farmers. Technology was a major hindrance to that, and I understand that I couldn't even see masts around there. So obviously there are no masts there. I think one of my colleagues said, one of the situations or one of the things to solve there is to have that community relations, and also I think a bit of education as well, educating them that if this is here, it obviously provides more jobs for your community and your community can continue to grow. I was watching a documentary recently that spoke to a community that basically had nothing, and then a company went to build something there. First of all, there was pushback, but then there was the educating them and telling them, oh, if you do this, your community grows. People that are basically earning $1 a day can probably be earning like $10 to $20 a day, and they understand that that helps their community. So I think education needs to happen, but I digressed a bit. But yeah, it affects us in terms of scaling. We are not able to scale as fast as we want to because we are very focused on driving financial inclusion and also going to underserved communities as well. But the major challenge is still, again, coverage. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Questions comes from your own customers based on this whole lack of infrastructure availability.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the concerns you raised about coverage and the fact that some Nigerians are not able to afford internet. Now, the goal of every businessman is to make profit, right? So a network provider will not want to, go into the rural areas to put 5G. Because at the end of the day, they might not realize, their return on investment. That is why telecommunication companies make available 2G, 3G for some rural locations, so that at least people over there will be able to connect, right? And then they start the newer technologies like 5G with urban areas, so that they can give them quality service and at the end of the day make their income. So now, what you termed as lack of coverage might not actually be lack of coverage, because there in Yaba, there are a lot of masts, so it might not be a coverage issue, and that is why at InexGen Wireless, what we do is we are focused on not just you having internet. We want you to have a very good quality. So our aim is on quality of service, and that is why we have a platform, and we are also trying to collaborate with network providers. So our platform, you can, we actually collect data, RFM data, and then it is displayed on our platform. You can actually check it out, metrics.inexwireless.com. So when you go there, you will see the quality of your network in every location. In this location right now, when you go to our website, you will see the download speed, upload speed for different network providers, MTN, Airtel, Glo, right? So in that way, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to work with network providers to make sure that you don't just have internet, you have quality internet to actually enjoy browsing. So the things that affect quality of service is not just coverage, which is RSRP. There is the quality, there is signal strength, there are all these parameters. So focusing on quality, there are also locations in Lagos or these urban areas that have coverage issues. But to narrow down what is actually wrong with your network, that is where we come in. We actually tell you that this is actually what is wrong and this is what you can do to improve your network. So network providers also need to, up their game in trying to make sure that everybody not just have internet, but they have quality internet. Thank you.
We all speak about challenges and issues and gaps, which is going to be there and which is always there. Now, in the latest thing is that we all talk about the latest AI coming into the market, and we are talking about 5G. So, which really means lot of consumption of data, lot of issues coming in like cybersecurity issues. As this is, I'm just trying to wind up the panel. So this, my last question to everybody, Juliet, you being on the wireless side, how your company is planning to treat it, this adoption of AI into the market, the latest trend, again, 5G rolling out, which all drives lot of content into people's handsets practically. Because if you look at Nigeria's numbers, whatever NCC says is a different thing, the reality may be a bit different. If you are talking 225 million, 90% may be connected, correct? These are from the normal regions, correct? So the networks are going to get choked up, okay? And there is no network, I can say that there is no network after Abuja, very minimal, which is equal to no, correct? So even getting a one signal or getting Google opened up will be difficult if you travel outside maybe the Abuja central area. That is what the situation is. How your business, how you guys are getting prepared to adopt these new technologies and give a good service to the end customer, because those are the end customers who are paying the bills. So they don't know about the gaps on the infrastructure what we are on to. What they need to know is that, am I getting connected? Am I able to watch my movie in YouTube or Netflix? That's all they are looking at, correct? So how your company is getting prepared or getting ready for those kind of a situation?
Okay, so like I said earlier, we are not actually network providers. What we do is that we work with network providers to make sure that you enjoy the services you have. So now, it's inevitable that most of these urban locations have better networks because the network providers want to, make gain. But at the same time, we are trying to make sure that at least every location have enough coverage, right? So you might not get disconnected entirely, but you will notice a drop in the quality of your service as you go from urban areas like Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt to maybe rural areas. So in this case, I will also try to mention this, that what one of my colleagues said earlier. Now, incentive is very important. These network providers will not on their own want to go to these rural locations to put up infrastructures if they are not being supported or probably sponsored to actually give in a good network in that area. So they need support from government, from from organizations to actually partner with them and give us a good internet. Thank you.
So I think what we on our own part can do is to drive financial inclusion. But in driving that financial inclusion, we need to collaborate with other partners. So collaborate with government, collaborate with telco. I say that because when we go to areas where, while we want to financially educate these people, we cannot underestimate the involvement of data in that, in driving that. So, and without that data, there's nothing we can do, and we cannot provide the infrastructure ourselves. We can only bring the parties together, deliberate on that, and see how we can help drive these communities to financial inclusion.
Yeah, Chiri, what is your thoughts? Because you being into providing the hardcore infrastructure, the backbone rather, how you guys are getting ready for this kind of an explosion, a data explosion?
Okay, so I think I want to talk about two things. One is on the regulatory side. I actually want to. There is need for the regulator to balance the regulation, obligation, and then the fees that they request. Because I'll tell you, if you keep all the time when we have discussed in these panels, we'll talk about multiple taxation. But I think the taxation starts from the regulators, because I mean, I'll give you a typical scenario. We have telcos who paid close to $500 million for $700 million for 5G spectrum, cumulatively an amount paid. So once you have that kind of upfront taxation, the next thing that happens is that in your business planning and everything, you have to start looking at where are the viable places, and then of course the coverage issue comes in. Where are the viable places that can recoup the money? So that whole balancing of the obligation, regulation, and the fees you have to make has to come in. And then there is this popular saying by Socrates, the Pluto, the Plato, sorry, where he said, "Give me your child, I'll train his mind, he'll learn his trade." What we say as telecom operators is just give us power, and everything else will fall in place. Because I mean, for the telcos, the biggest question that we need to have is, let's have electricity supply, and almost everything else will fall in place. Because typically today, all the telcos are providing their own power. If you go to a typical cell site, you have 2 generators, and then every 3 years, you need to change those generators again. CapEx going in all the time. So let's have power, and then of course, our cost of doing business itself goes down. Again, some of the facility sharing, cost sharing initiative, whether it is duct, whether it is open access, those kind of initiatives have to come in. There was an interesting thing I heard last month. There is a Nigerian electronic fraud forum, and I heard from that forum that there is just for the first 8 months of this year on cybercrime alone, that the banks of Nigeria lost 9.5 billion naira. I'm sure most of us don't know. That's a lot of money. So I think on the cyberspace, security itself of those assets is a very important thing that we need to talk around. 5G deployment, there's always this discussion around building out current infrastructure as they come. So, my colleague here talked around in some places in Nigeria, we still have 2G in some rural locations. If you look at the 3G investments by most telcos, they've not even been able to amortize those investments. They are still trying to, to amortize them. So whether it is 3G, 4G, or 5G, I think the key thing that perhaps we need to focus on is coverage, being able to create that whole access, the infrastructure access, making sure that infrastructure gets to everybody. An approach that most people do, most telcos do everywhere else in the world, not just in our space, is that they now do a disaggregation. As you move in 5G into your main clusters, you start moving the other technologies to the rural places. In Nigeria, of course, we made attempts to do rural infrastructure. I think we're still trying to get it right. Like we say all the time, the issues are not always around the policies. The issues are always around the implementations. So I think in terms of drive, if we start disaggregating and moving the lesser technologies to the rural places, because let's be honest, digital empowerment or financial inclusion will not always happen on the current technologies. People can actually do banking transactions on USSD, which is possible on 2G if you move them to rural locations. So there's a whole lot that can happen if we get the policy side right and create incentives for the operators to go to the unserved and underserved.
Did you mention the critical thing, the challenge we have as operators? Power. 70% of every telco's OPEX is on power. 2 generators, diesel at today, 1,200, 1,100. So I don't see there are a lot of Wi-Fi operators, FTTH operators a lot of broadband operators, younger, smaller ones coming up. I don't see them paying a TOACO or an infraco the rate that should be charged. That's why you see that some of the TOACOs don't support the smaller operators. The minimum you can get maybe 450,000. I don't see any Wi-Fi operator that can, from a base station, raise up to 1 million naira a month. You understand? So it's difficult. What I will suggest to them is that they have to cloud themselves and see how the smaller operators can mop up resources and collaborate. If you have a base station here, we can share. Why I give you what we used to call one-to-one sharing. So without that, I don't see any expansion from that perspective. So I will advise that the cloud, we may not be able to pay a big TOACO, sincerely. Though we have reduced price from when we started, it was about $5,000, $6,000 per base station. Now it's less than $1,500 by our exchange rate. So I don't see how somebody has taken a facility abroad for maybe $100 million and paying interest and buying exchange rate at black market rate, be able to pay his interest and still allow you to come to his site at a very minimal rate. So I will recommend clouding for the smaller operators. The bigger operators, we need to up their game and see how we take it from there. Thank you.
Thanks, team, for the valuable feedback to everybody. And I think we should still continue to debate on this and delegate on this. 2 points which is critical. One is education to the people, and the second is that is most important. That is the partnerships in the industry. People need to come together and do the handshakes rather than working alone. This should take the industry forward for sure. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Please, let's appreciate our panelists. Mr. Isaiah, I need you here for the picture session. Let's appreciate them. You can do better. From cybersecurity issues to regulatory burdens to multiple taxation, vandalism of telecom infrastructure, rights-of-way challenges, access to forex, and inter-industry indebtedness are the key issues facing the telecoms industry. And we can go on and on. What it's to note is that at least after all of these conversations and problems and challenges, so highlighted, the way forward is key as to addressing it. I mean, even if it's not 100% sorted, at least to its barest minimum, these things should be addressed. So thank you very much to our wonderful panelists. Let's give them a round of applause as they go back to their seats. Thank you very much. Let's just remind you that What is 2023 is an initiative of Technology Mirror and is proudly supported by TechX, Innovation Hub, Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and IHS TARS. At this point, we're going to be rolling a commercial of one of our sponsors. Technical team, if you're ready. As soon as that is done, we introduce the next panel session. Thank you.
We are IHS Towers, one of the world's largest operators and developers of shared telecommunications infrastructure. Independently owned with a portfolio of tens of thousands of towers across multiple markets, we are connecting people across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Engineering excellence is at the heart of our business. Right from where we began in Nigeria in 2001, with one single tower and one single solution, to today employing over 2,000 people and offering not one, but 6 solutions. With co-location, new sites, in-building and distributed antenna systems, small cell, fiber, and rural telephony, we're helping more and more people to stay connected every single day. Innovation is our lifeblood. We're investing in the latest technologies to deliver cutting-edge solutions for the world's leading mobile network operators. Sustainability is key. We're utilizing renewable sources to deliver greater efficiencies for our customers and help protect our shared environment. Together, we aim to contribute to a more prosperous future. Connectivity is critical. We're delivering mobile communication coverage to millions of people across the emerging markets, supporting the implementation of nationwide digital agendas. Practical solutions are our business. Combining the power of technology with our integral infrastructure, we are helping to build the networks of the future, working with our customers to bring mobile connectivity to the emerging markets.
Let's appreciate IHS for making this possible. They are co-sponsors for today. Okay. While that panel discussion was on, one of our distinguished speakers walked in. She is the head of Networks and Solutions, Information Connectivity Solutions Limited, ICSL, Mrs. Tinuade Oguntuyi. A round of applause to her, please. Thank you very much for coming, ma'am. And of course, we can't wait to hear your thoughts on today's discussion. Right now, we're going to be moving quickly to the next lead presentation, which is on infrastructure gap, leveraging connectivity and technology to transform enterprise and social economic life in West Africa. And to give us the lead paper is the founder and CEO of Sense Orbit Nigeria, a strategic technology adoption consulting company. Mrs. Rachel Orumo has over 10 years of experience in software research and development engineer with a reputable record of global technical and professional experiences. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me to make welcome. She'll be joining us virtually for today's discussion. Please let's give a round of applause for Rachel Orumo.
Thank you for having me. I would like to share a slide though. I don't still have the right to do that. I don't know who is in charge. I want to be able to share a slide because part of my presentation is to just give a very quick overview. One of the things, obviously, after COVID that we've started learning to do, because during COVID we realized there is actually a lot of technology gap in terms of understanding even what technology is all about. And one of the things we do these days is to always try to explain what the terms are all about and what the conversation is all about. So I would appreciate if I can share my slide. That would really help. Okay, thank
all
you.
right.
I think I can do that now.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 minute. All right, so I think I'm good now to share my screen. So pretty much, like I said earlier, I would definitely like to give an explanation as regards what the topic is all about. That would actually help to drive the conversation even faster and better for those of us, probably like a lot of people who are new to this in general. So the theme, as it says, is talking about the future of connectivity, services, and how that actually come together in an interdependent ecosystem of partners. So I'm going to pretty much look at what we call the infrastructure gap to start with. So basically, this is looking at the fact that obviously, like the last panel had actually dealt a lot about that, the fact that there is inequality to access, and even when there is access, the access is actually not qualitative enough to serve the purpose it ought to. Now, the purpose of all this is because the telecommunications, as it were, is the backbone of the internet, which is pretty much how we are able to communicate as regards also even doing businesses in Africa and beyond. So, having said that, my name is Rachel Romo, as been said, and my particularity on this panel is actually because of my vast experience working in a very cross-sectional manner across Africa as a whole, working in different companies in different countries and different ecosystems in the technology ecosystem to start with. And one of the things I can bring to the table today is to tell you that the problem are pretty much the same even when you go from one African country to the other African country. Obviously, in the North African countries, it seems a bit more developed, but there is always those gray areas, those dark areas that obviously do not necessarily have a connection to the internet, as it were. So basically, what is the state of the art as at 2021, which is actually a very interesting time when it comes to looking at projections for things like the internet, because that is actually the time where we realized a lot of people between 2020 and 2021 actually saw the need to be on the internet. So whichever statistic we used to have before could also be due to the fact that some don't see the reason why they should be. So sometimes we count those people as not part of not having internet access, of which is not necessarily because they don't have the access, it's just because they don't think they need the access. So from 2020 to 2021, we actually see a lot of people now using internet as a means of doing one thing or the other, because now that was pretty much the only way at some point to be able to work. So I have some interesting statistics from here on air from 2021, where we can see clearly. I'm going to try to make my screen bigger so that everyone can see. I believe everyone can see. So the thing is, today is actually being said, or it's known, that we have more than 500,000 internet users across Africa. And usually when we talk about internet users, we should know also, obviously we're talking about telecommunication, because it's not possible without that aspect. And this kind of statistic is actually very important for us all to understand really that when it comes to the telecommunication affair, obviously it has to be determined by the big guys. And those we call the big guys here, probably the stakeholders in the telecoms industry, the government parastatals, and also international organizations that are actually the regulatory bodies. But it's important to know also that we have more than 20 million businesses across Africa, as at 2021, that actually use internet one way or the other to actually serve their clients or their potential customers. And in Africa in general, but specifically in West Africa, the listed services below are actually the ones where we have people use the internet more, especially for mobile banking. We have mobile money transfer, for instance, for the point of sale services, which is very, very popular in Nigeria, for instance. We have a lot of people use the point of sale on a day-to-day activity. The fact that the banking, I no longer need to go to the bank, or nobody needs to go to the bank anymore to get things done, actually make that also very important at some point. And obviously e-commerce, artificial intelligence also, we have a lot of companies, even in Nigeria, also outside of Nigeria, they have all these automated responders. They use chatbots on Facebook to actually respond to the day-to-day questions they think their clients can ask about. And all these paradigms actually depend on the availability, quality of the internet, which obviously depends solely on telecommunication at large. So having said that, so what is actually now because obviously there is no question, there is a question of poor infrastructure. From the last panel, we actually dived into a lot of discussion concerning that. But it's also important to note what are the impacts of the poor infrastructure today in today's world in a very, very concrete manner. Obviously, that definitely gives limited access to education and healthcare, especially for people in the rural area. Obviously, someone was saying the other time, yes, we can actually deploy 2G and 3Gs there right now because that could be cheaper, that could be more affordable, and that could have a potential for profitability in the future because it's something they can afford. But the truth of the matter is that when it comes to healthcare and also education, really having lower connectivity or lower brand base or lower infrastructure could necessarily not respond to those kind of questions. And also economic opportunities. We have quite a number of young Nigerians today who are freelancers who work literally online every day. And the ability not to be able to do that properly also means that they will have their livelihood in line. So that also, we definitely have a direct impact, a direct effect, as it were, on the economic standard of each and livelihood of everyone in Africa in general. And also, something I did not mention here, which is also important, is these days we have much more collaboration between companies across African countries. You can easily have a company in Nigeria collaborating with a company in Ghana, in Senegal, vice versa, exchanging services, because today we have internet and access to do so, which is not only going to improve upon the livelihood of a country in Africa, but it's going to be something that would work potentially for everyone. And obviously, poor internet connectivity also reduces communication as it's were. If all we can do is to talk to our client by SSD or just talk to them on WhatsApp, for instance, for a tech company like ours that we do software technology adoption, we need sometimes to see your screen. We need sometimes to take a picture of where you work and what you do for us to be able to automate your processes. And that means for a farm, for instance, in a very rural area in the northern part of Nigeria, I will still need to see what that farm looks like if we cannot be there physically. So I still need a good internet connectivity so I can actually have a better access and purview to be able to recommend technology that would best fit their profile. So that means that also poor infrastructure actually affects in general everything, even those that we don't think about, that are actually potential and immediately needs. Now, the negative consequences of this is obviously inequality, which is a big one, because the access to internet today is no longer a question of need, but is a question of necessity in terms of it is pretty much how a person can carve their future. Internet has become a tool for people to carve their future. People can go to school online, they can get jobs online, even some people marry online these days. So it means that there is actually going to be an inequality problem the moment we are not thinking globally in terms of how this infrastructure can actually go towards everybody and in all places. Then another thing is obviously reduced productivity. So if I'm working on a 3G network, there is actually little I can do compared to when I am working, obviously, with a better internet network, as it were. So that also means that you can do. We all have colleagues probably that will tell you my internet is not good right now, and I can't do this or I can't do that. And obviously, increased costs. When internet is bad, you will definitely make a regular call. You wouldn't call on WhatsApp. And that also means that if that's for you as a business with me, you have to have additional costs in probably getting your goods ready, getting in touch with your customers, because you have things that are time bound, and definitely you'll be spending much more money in getting your goods and your services across, of which you could have spent lesser if you had a better internet. And also reduce innovation. For instance, I'm into robotics. Like I said in my profile, and most of the things we do, sometimes we need to do the architectures, we need to draw things, and we use MATLAB, which means we need high internet resolution to do high internet bandwidth to have high resolution architectures and also 3D diagrams. So if I don't have good internet access, then there is also a problem at that level. So the impact is actually enormous. And it is important to actually always look at it from the point of impact. Just like the other panel has actually, highlighted, it's actually important, obviously, to have infrastructure, invest more in infrastructure, no matter what, in what capacity. Whether it's 2G or 3G at some point, it's actually good to have something that we can build upon. Then obviously, we also need to promote digital skills. Like I said, it's important for us to have a better idea about how telecommunication as a whole can actually have a lot of impact. We have this kind of pool today between the soft services and obviously more hard and physical part of technology, like the telecommunication aspect. We have a lot of people go into the soft ones, the soft services, such as programming, such as design and all. But very few people look at telecommunication in that sense, because obviously you need longer years of study. That's one thing. And you don't make money as easy as you can if you're a developer or if you're a programmer. So I think there is actually a lot also that needs to be done in simplifying the educational process or procedure of people having much more knowledge, as it were, and developing skills in the domain of telecommunication. For instance, if you are into creating masts and you have like 10, 15, 20 masts in different regions, it is easier for you to think about going to a rural area if you have a potential idea that there is actually a young person or two young people in that rural area that actually have a basic idea of how to even do the maintenance. So having a local be the maintenance guy for a particular satellite station is easier and more secure than having a foreigner come in. So I think also when it comes to telecommunication, there is a need to propel, to propel skills, and I think this is also something that the policy people in the telecommunication industry should work towards, looking at how to simplify whatever it is that is supposed to be done in terms of maintenance, such that we can have people learn these skills easily, and they can actually serve as support system for telecommunication equipment that have to be installed and have to be maintained in different places. And also, obviously, there is a support of digital entrepreneurship and innovation. Obviously, telecommunication is a heavy money business. It's not just anybody that can go into it, but just like someone from the other panel said, there is a need for smaller groups of people to come together as associations, as collaborative bodies, to actually be able to do something that would help them to also innovate in that regard. So it is actually important to promote entrepreneurship in some way in telecommunication, even if it means to have multiple associations that can actually help people to come together to have something interesting that can actually better their immediate environment. Obviously, we have to encourage also the use of digital technologies in key sectors. The more we use digital technology in key sectors, the more telecommunication will get support. So if, obviously, for instance, I know about Lagos, the Lagos state government and the health centers now use some sort of a digital card where you have to come with your digital card. So it means they are using the internet. So the direct consequence of that is, as time goes on, the medical or the health sector would know that technology is a bedrock, so they are also going to be pushing for tech to be better. They will be pushing for telecommunication to be better because they are also using it. So I think the more we engage telecommunication in a much more, I would say, aggressive manner in other sectors, in agriculture. No, so it's not just the minister for digital economy that is talking about telecommunication. Now the agriculture technology minister is saying we also need technology to do this and that. So it becomes really something that is a shared common goal to actually get it up front and working with a good quality. Obviously, we need to create a safe and secure digital environment, and that is also important. I believe this is also, we shouldn't just be concerned about, giving quality access. We shouldn't be concerned about having people do whatever they want to do online. We should also be concerned about how secure, because we are creating a space. It's like a country, for instance, building a stadium, and they don't plan to put security, no camera and all, and they say people should just come in and have a nice time. It's not going to end well. I think it's also the same way we are creating a space where people can come to transact, they can come to do many things. So it's also important that part of our in-depth and core policies is to engage people on how to actually protect themselves and be secure. One thing I can lay emphasis on is something I really like that Uber does. For instance, when you order a ride, it actually tells you don't sit in the front, sit at the back, or something like that. So you have these tips as you are using the Uber app. So that's something for me, for instance, that actually ensures that whoever is using the app is safe and secure. And that is also something that has to be potentially and systematically part of the conversation. So by solving one problem, then we don't realize everybody have access, now we have another problem at our hands. So, and obviously, like I said, I talked about the other sectors that should actively be pushing for telecommunication to get better. So telecommunication conversation today for me, I don't think it should just be a question for the technocrats that we are, or the or the users of, or the techies as we are. It should also be a conversation which will enlighten people to let them see that telecommunication is an agricultural sector problem if it is not working well. It is an educational sector problem if it's not working well, healthcare and finance and so on and so forth. So that is going to be about Hall, and I'm actually going to be here now for the discussions and obviously just discuss around the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Let's give her a round of applause. Did I tell you that she's connecting to us all the way from Benin Republic? Her internet is so flawless, and we could hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Rachel Derumo, for that. Don't go yet. I wanted to ask, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
So I just wanted to ask how greetings are done in that part of the world. How do we say hello? How do we say hello in their native language?
Oh, that's very complicated. I speak French very fluently, so I think let me start by saying the one I understand, which is the French. We will simply say bonjour.
Bonjour.
That is how you say bonjour. That's how you say hello. And for the local language, though, I think you say they have pretty much different local language, but the most common one is the fon, which is mi fon gajia. Pretty much is to ask, did you wake up well?
Oh.
Literal terms. All right.
So I wanted to. Okay, I wanted to report Mr. Isaiah to you. He greeted us. He greeted us bon appetit when he was giving his opening remark.
Are you eating something?
That's why I said I wanted to report him. So because we do not understand French, so he was telling us bon appetit during his opening speech. Mr. Isaiah, be careful yourself. Thank you very much anyways. A round of applause for her again. Please don't go anywhere. You'll be joining in the panel session so we can dissect that more. So please, to do justice to this next session, let me quickly read out the names. I hope our panel chair is ready. Mr. Michael Philly, please a round of applause for him as he comes to the stage, to the podium. Also, we have ICT editor Guardian newspaper, our very own Mr. Yemi Adekwetu. A round of applause for him as he comes. The executive secretary ATCON, Mr. Ajibola Olude. I hope he's still around. He stepped out a while ago. The ushers, please do help us welcoming him back. Also, Onyi Olaniyon will be joining this panel again from Trade Lender. A round of applause for her. We can't get over, your discussion during the last panel session. And also joining us virtually this time around, let me introduce him properly. Sorry for that mix-up the first time. Is Reverend Sunday Folayo. He's a technical advisor to the MD Anambra State ICT Agency. Please let's give him a round of applause. Reverend Sunday, can you hear us? Are you there? All right, technical guys, so please do help give him a nudge that we're ready for this next panel session. Now, we could listen to Rachel there highlighting some of the recommendations after, leading that paper. The sum that I could take note of was the need to simplify skills needed in the telecom sector. For some of us that are not tech inclined, we think, having to come into tech space is like a very big deal. Thanks to, I know Mrs. Tinuade always talks about that and how it might not really be rocket science. So how well are we also ensuring that we simplify these skills needed in the telecom sector for more growth? The fact that telecoms is a huge investment business and there's need to collaborate in order to win big. She also encouraged the use of digital technology in key sectors to encourage the digital economy amongst others. So at this point, I will be handing over the microphone. Please, ushers, can I get the other mic? Hope it's sorted now. Can I get the other mic? So the lead for this panel discussion will take center stage. Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause one more time.
Thank you. Jibola. Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope Reverend Folayan is there. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm online.
My bad friend.
I am online. Salam alaikum.
You're welcome. Most time, during the early days, I used to come searching for you in Ibadan. All right. Thank you very much. Hear me? Long time no see. Thank you very much. The presentation, the paper were presented. She touched almost every facet of what we were talking about in the first panel and now. We're going to talk about now. Everything we're talking about is infrastructure today. This session, we're going to talk about more about connectivity. You know, internet. Every time you see the internet, when you click, it will be rolling. You say network. That's connectivity. When you call it network is everything we are doing. So when you mean connectivity, you are not connecting to the next person. You are not connecting. You stay in some places, they say you make call a whole day. They are still going to stand on the street, stand near the tree so that you get network. So we are talking about that today. I'm going to start from Yemi. Yemi has been a reporter in this place for many years. I've known him for many years. So Yemi, I don't know whether you have any historical perspective to what we're saying now.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. Well, thank you for the opportunity given to us to be on this podium. Like you rightly mentioned, we still have, huge challenge when it comes to internet telecoms infrastructure. And like what you alluded to earlier, connectivity is a major issue. We still have, making calls. When you call from one point to another, you are not hearing the other person, but you are on this side, you are talking. The person on the other side can't hear you. We have connectivity. When you send messages, text messages at times, it will not deliver, and before you know it, you incur charges. We still have that's another aspect of it. When you are browsing, it takes longer time before you say you want to download any video or you want to do anything online. Even when you are making WhatsApp call, you still have issues around it. We still have that connectivity issue as far as the country is concerned. Now, that is not to say that the telcos that they have not invested or they are not investing. Of course, they have invested. The current worth of the industry is put at about $77 billion. That's within the last 2 decades, of course. And this, comes in terms of infrastructure that they have invested. But despite that, the challenges are still very much on ground. Like what the lead speaker, alluded to. These are the things that we still face almost on a daily basis. Subscribers are complaining. I think the last time NCC brought out the issue of complaints, the number of complaints that were, that people sent, almost 90% of the people complained of, calling, not, getting through to their cause, yet they have been charged. Things like that. I think the challenge is still huge on this very side. I really do. I wouldn't. Let me put it this way. Like I said, I can't say the telcos are not investing, but probably, like you alluded to earlier, that the number of base stations that we have on ground, they are not just still enough. We still have to. They still have to invest more so that services can become more ubiquitous and at the same time, can be effective. We can have effective service delivery. I think the telcos, they still need to do more. The regulators too, the regulator now talking about NCC would still need to do more in terms of ensuring that services are top notch. I think NCC recently released a report on the KPI where they scored the telcos almost 100% on all grounds of measuring key performance indicators as far as services are concerned. But if you go out and sample people's opinion, you will know that the gap between service quality and what people are getting is far. I recall that I recently did a report where we look at how much the telcos have been able to realize in the last 1.5 years compared to the services they have rendered. They have invested, but the services are not yet, that quality that people will want are not there yet. I will also say this. We went on a tour to South Africa, and we saw so many things happening. Though not the first time of being in South Africa, but what I saw in my last visit really affirmed that we still have a long way to go when it comes to connectivity as far as the country is concerned. So I will implore that we look more on how people can actually, subscribers now can actually benefit more from the services the telcos are offering. Telecom services has become, according to UN now, is now a fundamental human right. So people should have access to it. And that access shouldn't come with pains. It should not get to the extent that, I need to make or I need to climb 1,000 story building before I can make or. No. Right inside my home, I should be able to do this and do it excellently well. Thank you.
Oyin, you've been trying to do digital inclusion, trying to get a lot of people connected into how has it been and all that.
So I'll speak about our target audience who are MSMEs. We have 36.9 billion SMEs in Nigeria. That's a very large number, but still a lot of them are struggling. One of the things that they need to help them grow and help them scale is infrastructure, telco infrastructure to be specific. There are so many tools that they need to scale their businesses. AI is here. There are tools for digital marketing. There are tools for bookkeeping. There are tools for inventory. But all of this needs data, and without that data, they cannot scale. So I think that we need to, again, still talking about coverage and expanding coverage and ensuring that there is infrastructure which will allow them to scale. He spoke about accessibility and also making it very accessible for them and affordable. These businesses are, due to economic challenges, are struggling. For us to be able to get them to take that on, it needs to be easily accessible for them and affordable. So they need to be able to easily afford data to help them scale their businesses. They need POSs for their businesses, but if they are in a place where there is no coverage, POS is a moot point. It's nothing, it can't work for their businesses. So they want to be able to receive money, make payments. They want to be able to do inventory, do proper stock keeping, be able to generate invoices, be able to use tools that help them scale their businesses. Their counterparts in other parts of the world are using these tools, and they are growing at a very large scale. I think there is a huge opportunity there, but they just need the tools to help them scale.
Thank you. Reverend, I hope you're there. Hello. Are you still with us?
Yes, I am here looking for my mute.
No problem. Can we have insight to your opinion on this matter of connectivity? You've been in for a long time, and again, your state, Anambra State. Tell us what's happening there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the panel. I bring you greetings from the MD of the ICT agency in Anambra State, Chukwemeka Fred Agbata. who unfortunately is not able to make this because the EXCO is meeting right now. And being a very active member of the EXCO, he cannot be available. But he's asked me to discuss some few points that are germane to the topic in discussion. So those topics I will try to outline now. The first is that right of way is zero in Anambra State. And this is done deliberately to make life easy for the telcos. So any telco that wants to deploy infrastructure in Anambra State can do it with zero right of way. The second is that the state has undertaken and has decided that every new road that would be constructed in Anambra State must come with ducts inbuilt so that service providers would not need to dig the roads again. So it's a dig once policy in the state. So once the roads are constructed, ducts are laid along with the roads. Then when providers come, on a carrier neutral basis, they can have access to those ducts and be able to lay their infrastructure. This is for new roads being constructed. And I can tell you for free that the state government is constructing thousands of kilometers of new road. In 1 week alone, contracts for about 26 new roads were awarded in the state. And the goal, which the Ministry of Works is ensuring, working with the ICT agency, is that ducts are designed along with these roads with manholes at relevant areas so that infrastructural provision becomes easy. The third thing that has been done to make life easy is that the state has gone into PPP with two separate infrastructure providers. The first one is trying to lay ducts in some roads that they believe is commercially viable. Recall I said that the state itself is putting ducts in new roads that it is constructing. So those ducts that this they are able to all operators to lease and use, whether they want to lease ducts or they want to lease dark fiber. The other company is also using a different approach. So there are two diagrammatically different business strategies being used, and the state is giving them support to be able to do this. These are the three strategies the state is currently deploying to make sure that infrastructure, especially fiber infrastructure, is available in the state and that they will not readily get destroyed when roads are being constructed. The state is also working very hard to create what we know and call the Solution Innovation District. This would create an area where innovators can aggregate, and the state would ensure that there's power, there's internet connectivity, there's good roads, there's support to incubate as many businesses in the state. So many other initiatives going on in the state right now, but I just wanted to pick these few ones because I know the day is far gone, our time is limited, and we still have so many other speakers who would want to contribute. So I am glad to answer specific questions later on. I just thought giving this bird's eye view to set the context for us to appreciate what Anambra State is doing. On behalf of Chukwuemeka Fred Agbata, thank you for giving us this opportunity to contribute to the discussions on infrastructure and making things better in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. And but you'll get your invoice from Isaiah for the advert. Thank you very much. I said it earlier, the last panel, that was the state, one of the states, about 3 of them that have given us 0 right of way. And we're very glad that a member of the industry is there. Thank you very much, Reverend. And I have Richard too. I have Richard too. Richard, I don't know what you want to say on this. Yeah. Please, what's your contribution to this discussion now, apart from your presentation?
Yes, it's actually a very interesting conversation, and I would actually like to pick it up from where the last panelist spoke about. And my first comment is this. You see, there are many states in Nigeria. Obviously, there was a lot of conversation about Lagos, the Abuja, Port Harcourt in the last conversation. But you see, the reason why we know a lot about those states is because there is what we call the word of mouth. Someone is always talking about the fact that, see, there is good connectivity in Lagos. See, when you go to Port Harcourt, in this area, you can do this and that. And that naturally gives the idea for people to want to go to those places. For instance, I am really excited to hear what I just heard now about Anambra, because one of the things I am working on in the years to come is actually to have a nationwide robotics training program for out-of-school kids. And one of the questions that always been, would they even have the opportunity to be able to work on robotics at all if they don't have the internet? But having an information like this is actually something that is encouraging for people like me and who want to do something in that capacity. So I think the first comment I would say is, I think we should, the WATC as a whole, I think one of the things we can work towards is having to give spotlight to those kind of information, not just because for Anambra, but in general for Nigeria. It will be part of the statistics, that we should be talking about. It should be part of the things that we should be encouraging other states to do. And now, really talking about the connectivity, the state of connectivity as it were right now, in Nigeria, in West Africa, the presenter is very, very clear. Yes, it is, because Benin Republic is a country of 12 million people, and in a country of 12 million people, we have about 4 network providers. I'm talking about telecommunication network providers right now. And one thing that is very big here is that if the government provides the infrastructure, then the network providers can actually collaborate to use them, or you have other foreign agencies who collaborate and they use them. But also there is a downside to it. When you have a problem with the optic fiber, all the networks have problems. So it is a good side and a bad side. But the point I'm trying to raise is, there is this huge part of collaboration that we really need to look into. I mean, yes, it is a business. Yes, you want to compete. Yes, you want to have a different price from your competitor. Yes, you want to provide something. But at the end of the day, what you want to provide is quality communication. And I believe that at the basis of quality communication, everybody should be able to agree on some sort of cooperation that can actually make that happen. So yes, connectivity is very bad in Nigeria in some areas, even in Lagos, because like the last time we were talking about, okay, Lagos, but even in Lagos, you still have people stand on their rooftop to be able to have connection at some certain time of the day. And also sometimes when it is raining, and also there is a question of power. Even when you have the router, you have the optic fiber, you still need to power it anyway. So there is also those underlying issues. Obviously, that a country like Benin, for instance, even though even electricity is actually way expensive. Whatever you are paying in Nigeria, multiply it by 5, that's probably what we pay for electricity in Benin Republic. But however, it is available and you can depend on it. You don't need to buy a generator, but you know it is there if you can afford it. So the point is that there are these underlying issues, and it will bring me back to what I said in my presentation, that I think today the strategy for the telecommunication stakeholders, should not only be to talk about telecommunication, we are actually supposed to keep pushing for the other sectors to see that they need telecommunication more than telecommunication needs telecommunication. And that is going to be my, my contribution for this. What are the ways that today, as a telecommunication or stakeholders, we should have active collaboration, for instance, with the Ministry of Agriculture to be able to do something concrete. For instance, I'm also a researcher, I'm a PhD candidate, and I'm working on a solution for tomato pest control for farmers using Nigeria as a case study. And one of the things I found out in my research is that there was actually in 2002 that the Ministry of Telecommunication, no, not Ministry of Telecommunication, excuse me, Ministry of Agriculture is actually a core part of my research paper, actually. So I am very sure of this part of things. They actually wanted the farmers to be able to use mobile applications, at least for little things as knowing about the weather, so it can actually inform their decision about how they irrigate their plants and every other thing that they do. So they actually they had this association of farmers. I'm talking about Nigeria now, in 2002. They had an association of farmers come together to say, right, most of these farmers already have the smartphones. Let us tell them how they can better use the smartphone to actually better their work. And they had these capacity building programs for the farmers. For a tech person, that is a positive for me. So it means that that particular minister, no matter who he was at that point, gets the point that eventually for these farmers to be able to make something out of their lives, the reason why they are so far from their consumers is because they don't also use these technologies that can actually help them to sell their goods before they rot and they get spoiled. They have to wait on one person to call them to come and buy probably in a large quantity, where if they have a platform where they can just say, tomato is ready or coconut is ready, they can start getting orders immediately without even having to do a lot of work. So I think today the conversation should center around what are the ways we can actually actively engage, the other sectors in the way they use, in their way of assimilating the use of technology. I think that is the conversation. How do they assimilate the use of technology? Do they say today that, oh, the telecommunication industry sort out the technology problem, then we will use it? Or is it we need telecommunication to work so that we can get our job done? And I think that is where the conversation should be driving in the future, for us to actually be able to be of use to small and business scale businesses, holders, so that they can actually get to do their day-to-day activities. Thank you, sir.
And still talking on the issue of connectivity, let me talk to Yemi. The telcos recently decided that the states or the areas that are given strong resistance with high right of way may experience differential pricing on their core rate, their rate for data. What do you think? As it affects connectivity here. What I mean is this: if your state is one of the most troublesome states in Nigeria, your rates, your core rate will be higher than some states. That you understand it. So please let me have your input on that. It affects connectivity because if the state does not allow you to lay fiber or put on towers or do active connectivity, and the telco decided that if I'm paying 2 naira per second in Lagos, you're going to pay 10 naira per second in the state now. Let me use Anambra that is free. In Anambra State, what will be the impact on whatever we're saying, digital inclusion, financial inclusion, collaboration with other ministries and other agencies, other industries? What do you think will be the implication?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, definitely there will be impact, and it will also affect the possible targets that we are looking at. Like we said in the earlier panel session, 70% broadband connection by 2025 and about 90% connection of the population. But as it is now, I think that target is seriously under threat from some states. some states are not friendly at all. I remember there was a report, I think about 2 weeks ago, from Osun State to be precise, that they're carrying out audit of telecoms in facilities in those states, and the target is to raise about 500 million. It's about to raise 500 million. Now, the issue is that the state is not looking at what telcos can bring, what telcos can offer, what the likes of Anambra, they will be gaining, but they are targeting the immediate revenue. Definitely, the impact will affect service, because some of the base stations will be affected. Some of them may be closed down, going by the audit that this state is looking at, and definitely that will affect the connection we are talking about now. Now, let's look at it again from this aspect. We talk about, okay, the target is to meet 90%, 70% of the broadband population, but with that conservative mind that the states are looking at, all they are looking at is to get money. I mean, to make money from telcos. They've seen the industry as how do I put it now, as very rich, and they can approach them at any point in time, to get money, forgetting that there are other issues that come up with infrastructure deployment. Like you rightly mentioned, some communities are hosts that you still need to bribe before you can get to where you want to, maybe do an upgrade or do an expansion. All those things are still there. All those things are, by the way, most of them are not even documented. Some of them are not documented. We have had cases of people that have lost their lives in the course of wanting to do installation, wanting to do upgrade. All those things are there. All those things are factors that definitely will compound expansion of services to some states. Kogi is another state that is very troublesome. I remember last year we did a report on that where they actually closed down some base stations, and the ripple effect is that so many states are connected to that particular state, to that particular area, and subsequently they are affected. Although all other states are affected because of one particular state. That's another angle to it. And if you go by this and by that, you will understand that definitely, if these things continue, if states crude approach to generating money continues, telecom services will not expand, and maybe it will not be only Lagos, Anambra, Port Harcourt or Abuja that may likely, so to say now, enjoy services as it were. Thank you.
Can you have a wrap up from the financial inclusion perspective and the banks, the connectivity from bank to bank? You transfer some money and it will not get there, and you are debited and all that.
I was just about to mention that. So that it obviously affects financial inclusion. It affects reaching out to the people in the underserved areas. It affects your process and services as a business, and you have people complaining that, oh, we sent money, we did this, it has not reversed, blah blah blah, and all of that. So in addition to that, it also affects the revenue for the business, whether it's the SMEs. I'm speaking about trade lender now. Whether it's the businesses, whether it's the SMEs, lack of proper connectivity access affects the scaling of that business. They cannot have access to POSs to help them receive payments. They can't have access to mobile solutions to help them grow their businesses. Also, it also affects healthcare, like the presenter mentioned. It affects healthcare. It affects education. Being able to give financial education to these people, you also need connectivity as well. You want them to be able to imbibe the things that you taught them, and if they don't have that access, they're obviously going to forget everything that has been taught. So I think that's key to round up. But yes, it definitely affects the financial inclusion of these businesses.
Thank you very much, everybody. As a round up to this session, I want to state it clearly that the telcos and the service providers are ready to roll out, but they will require serious collaboration and partnership with the states and the non-state actors in the sector to enable us move it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate them for that. We'll take a short picture with the organizer. Like I said, we're trying as much as possible to still keep to time, irrespective of the time we spent before starting. And our panelists are really cooperating with us. So please let's give them a round of applause again. ICT editor of Vanguard, Yemi Adekotu there. Our lead chair, Michael Philly. We have Onyi Olani of Trade Lender. And of course, joining us virtually are their own Reverend Sunday for Lion. Thank you very much. And of course, all the way from Benin Republic, Rachel Rumo, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. We're still going to, inculcate you into the next panel, so you're not going anywhere just yet. Thank you, and thank you again. We're going to the final session. This time around, we're talking interconnectivity. It's called the lead presentation, the third paper, Infrastructure, Interconnectivity, and Technology as Needs for Enterprise in the Digital Economy. And it will be given to us by none other than Mrs. Tinuade Oguntuyi. She is the head of Networks and Solutions, Information Connectivity Solutions Limited, ICSL. Please let's give her a warm round of applause as she takes us through the lead paper in the next 5 to 7 minutes. Please let's appreciate her. Thank you. I know I'm putting her on the spot, how to squeeze in all of the things she has
We
prepared
are
for
IHS Towers,
within that short time.
one of the
Thank you,
world's
ma'am.
largest operators and developers of shared telecommunications infrastructure. Independently owned, with a portfolio of tens of thousands of towers across multiple markets, we are connecting people across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Engineering excellence is at the heart of our business. Right from where we began in Nigeria in 2001, with one single tower and one single solution, to today employing over 2,000 people and offering not one, but 6 solutions. With co-location, new sites, in-building and distributed antenna systems, small cell, fiber, and rural telephony, we're helping more and more people to stay connected every single day. Innovation is our lifeblood. We're investing in the latest technologies to deliver cutting-edge solutions for the world's leading mobile network operators. Sustainability is key. We're utilizing renewable sources to deliver greater efficiencies for our customers and help protect our shared environment. Together, we aim to contribute to a more prosperous future. Connectivity is critical. We're delivering mobile communication coverage to millions of people across the emerging markets, supporting the implementation of nationwide digital agendas. Practical solutions are our business. Combining the power of technology with our integral infrastructure, we are helping to build the networks of the future, working with our customers to bring mobile connectivity to the emerging markets.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to the organizers of VATIS. I will not be doing any slide, but I'll quickly use the 7 minutes to share what I have. I'm standing on all existing protocols. My name is Tinuade Oguntuyi. I bring greetings from the leadership of ICSL in person of Mr. Emisi Oshodi. And I must commend every speaker, every contributor, that this is actually the way to go. We have really dealt with the matter, but I'll quickly just add 1 or 2 things that I've also penned. I'm actually talking about infrastructure, interconnectivity, and technology as needs for enterprise. I think we have actually dealt so much with infrastructure, but I also want to quickly add that infrastructure goes beyond just the towers that we see. Maybe I should also quickly say that I head the network department of ICSL, and what that means is that I'm saddled with connecting businesses, ensuring both physical infrastructure and every other aspect of the business is up and running, and that's optimally also. I will quickly tell a story of an incident that, let me say, like I had a very personal encounter. Sometimes 2017, I traveled to the US for emerging markets training, and I was working with some guys that built infrastructure or connectivity, as we might call it, in Jamaica. And if we know well, based on geography, Nigeria has some form of similarities with Jamaica. And while I was questioning, I got to know that they have been so creative in trying to deal with most of the challenges, as it were, that probably had come from either the government, the people, and all of that. And one of that solution we plan then to do, and I'll quickly tell us what it is. Imagine a place like Ikorodu in Lagos, Nigeria, where you have a lot of people and there are a lot of shops and offices. As a telecoms partner or operator or service provider, that means I already do not have only the market, but I have my partners also. And I'll state it, how it works. If I have just one tower that I'm connecting radios to, that means I can create access points around all these shops. And because they open businesses, they will power my access point during the day. And users can all subscribe and buy the services. And I'm giving the shop owner connectivity for free. I also want to say that we have so much spoken about internet connectivity, but it goes beyond just the internet connectivity, because one of the issues that we have even now is because we don't mention too much our exchange points. And that is why today, many of the banks in Nigeria, if you want to connect to them, the latency to even access some of them is about 97 to 100 milliseconds. And I'm seeing the bank HQ somewhere here in Lagos. So I also want to say that when it comes to connectivity or interconnectivity, as telecom providers, operators, and partners or stakeholders, we have to clamor for that exchange point, be it Internet Exchange Point of Nigeria, be it WAFIX, be it AFIX. Because not until we do that, the cost of running this business will still be more. And that is part of what is drawing us back. It's easy to talk about the government or maybe people that do not give right of way, which is very fine. But those that we can deal with, at least, we should also deal with them. Today, I can access Google with about 2 to 5 milliseconds, just because most of these content delivery networks are coming very close, and it's called edge computing, because they want to bring the services really close to us. But it is now left for stakeholders and partners to utilize this opportunity that have been given. Now, talking about enterprise, I really love what the representative of TradeLender was saying about the SMEs and all of that. And I'll create a very quick scenario. I feel the government or states that are putting a lot of prices on right of way are doing themselves a lot of disservice. Because this room, imagine we have somebody selling goods here, and you have to pay with cash. Another person is at this other side of the table, and you can pay with card. And another person at another table, you can even do the tap and pay kind of service. What I have noticed as a woman and as a mother that shops is that when I hold cash, I'm always very restricted to whatever cash I'm holding. And I cannot hold so much. But when I have my card, that means if I'm buying a beverage, I can also see something else that catch my attention and oh, my children will love this or the family would need this. So I'm spending more. We complain every time that emerging technologies, and I advocate for that too. Every time there's a new technology, the people in the rural area or suburb, they get more divided. Because every telco companies want to go to the city where they can make money, or the ROI is coming really fast. And most times we might not necessarily blame them. But once I read about a man called Ali Baba in China, and how he was able to do something so significantly to help the people that are into enterprise in the rural area. And what did he do? He found out that most of the people in the rural community produce a lot, but how do they get it out to the people that need these goods and services? It became a problem, and he partnered. And he said, you know what? We will take infrastructure and connectivity close to the rural. And what that especially did was that there were now more orders, the purchases were going really high, and the rural communities were making more. And beyond just the sales, what it means now is that I love to see business from an impact point of view. There is now an impact because people can now fend for their families, they can learn more, they got introduced to using e-commerce. And that is another aspect that as partners, operators, stakeholders in telecoms, we should also look at. In ICSL, we did a rollout on rural telephony. And once in my lifetime, beyond every other time I know I create solutions and people say, thank you is up. And they're happy, they want to serve their customers and all. But this is a whole village coming together with their chief, making their first call right there on their own soil, not needing to travel kilometers or miles to make calls on top of the hills or mountain tops and all of that. And the man said, and this was very profound for me, because it was almost like 6 p.m. thereabout. We're just waiting to get the first call from that place. And he said, God bless you all. You don't know what you have done for us. I mean, these are also humans. And we say we clamor for connectivity. Internet is no longer a privilege, but a necessity. So telcos, partners, providers, operators need to collaboratively come together to make it happen. After all, they say collaboration is the secret sauce. So we need to all come together, eat that sauce, and make it work. Quickly, enterprise these days are gone beyond the normal or the usual that we see, because if you make enterprise work, apparently our representative from TradeLender will be able to say that, because she ran a very good, she gave a very good number about 39 million MSME and all of that. And it is proven that when you are able to give so much power and that right to thrive to this class, then we are really heading for the best. Because that means, even as a student when I was in school, whenever I don't have money again, I will not call my parents. What I do is I get to class and I tell my friends, I'm free. And they already understand what that means. Because I'm free, I have my sewing machine, and I'm going to make some shirts or tops or something for them. So imagine now, if it were to be those years, that means I don't even need to get to classroom. I can just put a status on my WhatsApp, for instance. All these tools make life better. And not just monetarily, but that impact. We don't need to necessarily now have to burn so much fat to achieving things. Enterprise these days, we come and they are collapsing every now and then because they don't even have that right support. Everything might not necessarily depend on the telco business, because one way or the other, we can all also come together to collaborate and make it happen. Interconnectedness is most times limited to just the telco. We don't see that value chain only. I commend the person that spoke on behalf of Anambra State government, and that is really laudable. I really celebrate them. And he mentioned something, that the new roads we are constructing has to come with the dots. Is it still the telco that is doing the roads? No. So it's a value chain and it's very broad and large. Everybody has to play their part. So it's not enough to just put an infrastructure. Even if you put a tower, you run fiber to a particular tower, or you put a radio or even a satellite, and you put it, let's say, in one hospital in a place. Will the internet connectivity drive itself? We need the people person. We need the people management. People don't even know how to take care of infrastructure equipment. People even damage. And when you see people damage infrastructure equipment, what do we say? Do we just walk and pass? After all, it won't disturb the internet in my own place. But it's all ripple effect. So even as much as we look at the needs that comes, we need to protect our digital space. And that is why I'm saying that this collaboration has to come on all sides of it. As an enterprise, many a times, enterprises even fall victim of security threats and hacking and breaches these days. So I'm already seeing signal, but just allow me to quickly run through this. So as much as the technology needs are also there for enterprise business, securing it is also important. And that is why even every domain in technology had to come together. Even if you put an infrastructure and somebody comes there to hack it, is this the infrastructure problem? So it might not be that physical infrastructure, but the security infrastructure had not been built over or underlaid. So I think beyond we walk the talk, and we all put in that effort to make infrastructure business to thrive, interconnectedness to be a thing that we all take personally. And of course, the technology needs will always be there. And that is why I'm into software, I'm into hardware, I'm into cloud. We all have to come together to make it work. Once again, thank you for having me. I celebrate the organizers of this event. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for her again. It's always a delight listening to you, ma'am. And of course, the last takeaway for me is the need, the collective responsibility. It lies on all of us at protecting our digital space, as enterprises are often under threat when infrastructure-wise. And of course, for that to happen, it's also going to help us to meet our technological needs as individuals and as a nation. Please, let's give it up for Gunti one more time. And lastly, we're going to delve straight into that, ask questions that connect to what each and one of the panelists do, and how well we can further take this collective responsibility, putting it at the front burner. To lead the discussion at this panel session is the CEO of Cyber Africa and Digivation Network, an esteemed member of the NIPR. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Mr. Hilary Damisa, aka the Prof. Also joining us this panel session is Engineer Spencer Itive, CEO RS Engineering. Let's give him a round of applause. Juliet Osiwelu of Exert Wireless will also be joining us at this panel. And of course, still joining us online is Rachel Orumo, all the way from Benin Republic. A round of applause for them. In the next 10 minutes, Hilary is going to help us ensure that this is really compact and straight to the point. Let's also have Ogunti join in this session very shortly, so as at least, yes, don't worry, to crown it all up. A round of applause for Tinuade again as she comes, while I hand over the microphone to Hilary Damisa. Juliet, we're waiting for you. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes.
All right. A very good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed honored and humbled to be on this panel. I want to, on behalf of every member of this panel, say kudos to the organizers of this program. It's been very engaging. It's been a very rich conversation, and they deserve a better round of applause. Please, let's put our hands together for them. All right, it's a fairly balanced panel, if you would agree with me. 2 males to 2 females, so there's gender parity in this panel. So maybe we are the most fortunate panel so far. So if you don't mind, please put your hands together for us too. Thank you. My name is Hilary Damisa. While I pass the microphone across, I would also like our panel to please once again introduce themselves and their designation. The subject before us is straight to the point. A member of our panel, Ogunto Ade, has already given some background into the conversation, and we'll be looking at infrastructure, interconnectivity, and technology as needs for enterprise in digital economy. All right, I would not want to waste too much time. Let me ask that Tinuade should give us a fair insight, just a sort of a reminder of perhaps what she had laid earlier. We keep referencing and recurrently discussing the issue of infrastructure. Infrastructure is key to interconnectivity. All of these are driven by technology, and the narrative of the New World Order is digital economy. Ma, can you help us do the dotting and the crossing of how this infrastructure would give us improved connectivity and service delivery in terms of digital economy?
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, my name is Tinuade Ogunte, and it's a privilege to sit on this panel. I did not get to mention the other time that I know many a times we always see connectivity or infrastructure we streamline a lot to fiber connections, but I want to boldly say even some ATMs that you withdraw money from as of today are running on SIM cards. We will deploy such solutions, and that is because you need to I don't know how I'll best put this. We can all say we rely so much on fiber, but like someone mentioned the other time, one cut could mean everybody. I think it was Rachel from Benin Republic, that mentioned that the disadvantage is that once there is a cut, everything is down. And that means that in designing infrastructure for connectivity, we need to not do just one direction. That is why there is fiber, that is why there is radio, that is why there is satellite, and that's why there is SIM cards. Like I said, it got to a point, financial institutions in Nigeria, especially those in the rural area, could not accommodate those big dishes again. So we needed to look for another way to make the service still available to the people. So we started using SIM cards. And I know that might sound really weird to people that, how do you put SIM cards in the ATM? But we have routers that drive all of these SIM cards too. And there are also some places that you will not be able to do all this trenching and all, again, to put fiber on the ground. Because just like the representative from Anambra mentioned, they don't want so much of digging and digging. That means in those areas, you can look at radio connectivity where you have a mast or you have a pole, you can put radio devices here and there to just pass connectivity. We know that infrastructure connectivity drives digital economy, because where there is no digital economy without the infrastructure connectivity in the first place. So we need to, as much as possible, deliver them in such a way that the money you are spending is not so much that you can't even recoup in the very long term, which is one of the discouragement that most operators or providers have in taking connectivity to maybe the remotes. So we need to look for solutions, and that is why telecoms is beautiful. You look at a need and you look at how to solve it. You might have two children, and one eats a lot, the other does not really eat so much. So it's you devising, the one that eats so much, maybe I will fill this person with enough of solid so that he gets quickly satisfied, or she gets quickly satisfied, while I give the other one the cereal. So that is just basically how all of this should be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, let's put our hands together for her. Okay, sir. My next panelist I would be taking on is Mr. Spencer Itivie, the MD CEO of RS Engineering Global Limited. My question to you, sir, there's so much of talk around town. The government is everywhere speaking of the need to drive the Nigerian economy, predominantly with digital as the key driver of the economy. Let me ask you, in terms of policy, how robust are we as a nation to ensure that the needed or required infrastructure and connectivity is put in place to connect Kafanchan to Kotonkerifi as well as Afikpo and Abakaliki? Do we have that required policy that will help us to achieve this desired objective?
Thank you very much. My name again is Engineer Spencer Itivie, ROS Engineering Global Limited, MD. It's true. Government actually has been, I don't want to say on paper, we've been trying to, or telling us that they are making an effort in trying to make all this thing work. I think we had heard this morning about the broadband which government has deployed. They have told us that by 2025, about 90% of the populace would start enjoying this facility. That's why I said on paper. I'm still struggling very seriously to know how that is actually working. But if that work, if what government actually is saying is working or will work, it will go a long way to really helping us. At the moment right now, we are not seeing much of government. Government is actually paying lip service to the development in this sector. What I'm saying, there's a lot of promises every day. The other time the minister said they have not given infrastructure, telecom infrastructure is now in a national, they declare it to be a national asset. Now, this has been declared, but you see discovered today that vandalization, theft cases are seriously still going on. Now, the last speaker said that there's maybe, I don't know if it's a rumor or maybe it has been put into play that states where they experience where they are experiencing more vandal, then their call rates will be increased. I still see to that as a failure of government, because if government actually has indeed declared national telecom infrastructure as a national asset, then they should throw their weight behind it by mobilizing all stakeholders, the police, the army, the vigilante, every other person to ensure these infrastructures are whatever protected. Now, I work in the field before. For about 50 years, I've been in the field. That I know what it means to have stolen assets, to what the infrastructure companies are passing through. You deploy a battery backup today, by tomorrow is no more. You will supply diesel today, by tomorrow is taken away. And most time for you to able deploy these items, I think one of the worst experience that I had is I wanted to deploy a generator, just a generator, a 30 kVA generator. Now, the landlord asked us to pay 250,000 just to deploy. Now, is that bad? For every single diesel you are going to deploy, you pay 20, 30, or sometimes they will even collect 200 liters. There are some communities that collect 200 liters of diesel from you before you could deploy. Now, I think that we are yet to see the commitment of government in this area. They may be trying, but it's not so robust yet. Apart from the government, also the stakeholder, all the stakeholders, even the infraco themselves, and so, because most of these things you are saying, the staff so to say, please, you shouldn't quote me on this. The staff, they actually aid it. They aid this thing. They collaborate with these youths to get this thing from this company. And the companies are not doing anything to try to resolve or to get this sorted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spencer. I would take the next speaker. Juliet, incidentally, is a sales manager. And my question will be from the perspective of a service provision in terms of enhancing connectivity to deliver digital economy benefit. As a sales manager, why would you rather, or what would make you extend your services? What do you think the stakeholders, what do you think the government, what do you think should be policies needed to put in place that would make you take your services to areas you don't consider markets that are viable or attractive? Are there things that need to be done outside of Lagos, outside of Abuja, outside of Port Harcourt, that would make you take your services to the interior, the underserved areas, in order for them to also ride on the benefits of the digital economy?
Okay, thank you. So the thing is, there is still this issue of government and non-governmental organizations. And like during the last panel session, we mentioned about incentives. Normally, you might not want. It's not attractive enough for you to, try to reach out to the rural areas due to the fact that you might not get enough benefit as you would in the urban areas. But that is where the government comes in. There should be, collaborations, partnerships, and sponsorships for these network providers to be able to extend their services to the rural areas. Those people actually need these services. The lady that took the lead paper the last time was talking about youth that work from home. People do freelancing these days, and then they try to connect. They work with companies outside the country that use. In fact, some of them even support these companies that work outside, that are located outside the country, and then they need robust internet. 2G and 3G is in most cases will not be able to cut it. So they also need 4G. They also need 5G. So the government should be able to work, even NCC, the regulators, they should be able to work with network providers to encourage them, sponsor them to be able to take network to the rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This panel is actually bigger than you can see from this side of the hall. And so we shall be taking on nearly every other member that is on the other side. I'd like to call the consciousness of the audience into this conversation so that we can make better meaning from this subject matter. If you don't mind, I'd like to call my good friend Romy into this conversation. Yes, thank you. And then the microphone will find the young lady that is seated next to you too. Success. Let me start from Romy. Education is a key aspect of the digital economy drive of the nation. The children who are in Potiskum are not less of human beings than the children who are in Jos. What do we do to improve connectivity such that education would be a fundamental right that they can also access by way of robust provision of broadband connectivity? Did you get me, sir?
Okay. Just finding a way to get our children involved in. I think there are so many things government can do, and even stakeholders. Let's even take Anambra, for instance. We are looking at Anambra now. Just recently, the governor declared free education for pupils from primary 1 to students JS3 of secondary school. And then I think from SS1 to SS3, you now have to pay 5,000 naira as tuition fee. So what it means is that at least that area, they are making public schools attractive.
Good.
And they're asking parents not to withhold their children any longer.
Okay.
Now, I think the next step is to start providing devices, devices. The Minister of Women Affairs was talking about providing, what do you call it? Devices like that too for the girl child in particular, so as to get them engaged. Okay. Now, what I think government can do in this regard is to start finding ways of making some of these devices very, very cheap. When you look at what is happening even in the market now, so many people are coming up with a lot of tablets, for kids, educational tablets, for kids. And if government can subsidize things, in fact, that is even the area we should be looking at subsidizing, not even fuel and the rest of that. Subsidize things like this. Of course, there is no way you can go to any country, advanced countries, where you don't subsidize things. This one we are talking about removing subsidies here and there. No government functions without removing subsidies. I mean, without even subsidizing certain things. You have to subsidize for you to survive. So I think there should be stronger focus on how to provide devices that children can afford or the parents can afford for their children to enable them connect, to enable them begin to close the gap, the bridge the gap we are having already in the digital sector. I think that's what we can do from that area. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution. I still want to take one person from the audience, preferably to balance it. We are gender sensitive. As a way of 30% female representation, what do we do? Specifically, okay, the beautiful lady at the back. Yes. What do we do to ensure that the female gender, who are often described to be of disadvantage, what do we do to ensure that they are well represented in the digital economy narrative?
All right, thank you very much. My name is Thelma, and coincidentally, I'm the founder of FASTA Initiative. FASTA is an initiative that empowers the girl child with digital literacy. And what we've been doing so far is going to government schools to offer digital literacy courses to students. Currently, we're doing that with the Ministry of Education here in Lagos, and we started with Badagry. So currently, we're training about 1,000 girl child in digital literacy. And some of the challenges that we faced is, of course, the internet, which you spoke about, and then the devices that we leave them with, because it's not enough to come in, take them through trainings and then go. So most times we think about sustainability, what happens when we're not there? And the tools keep increasing, changing, there are rapid changes in technology, and we continually update our courses because they are self-paced courses. So at this point, I think that what the government can do is incorporating, of course, digital literacy into the curriculum of all schools, because it's very relevant, especially for the girls. Fortunately as well, I'm also an HR professional, and from what I see most times, when women come in for interviews, and then you compare that with the male, candidates, you realize that the male have more IT skills in terms of navigating through Microsoft Word and the rest. So I feel like the government can incorporate digital literacy into the curriculum, or even if they can, they can do that, get along with side partners. And what telco companies can do, I don't know what their CSR project is like. I also feel like offering subsidized data in some of those locations can also help people afford internet to be able to learn. And just like you said, the tablets go a long way for people to learn, smartphones, desktop that can be left to the school.
Thank you.
For them to learn,
Thank you so much, madam. We appreciate your contribution. By the way, if you care to know, I just took down your details and your name in case the National Assembly invites you for an appointment. Congratulations in advance. Okay, let's wrap up the conversation very quickly. I would go back to Tino Ade to please, in about 30 seconds, wrap up for us how she thinks we can ensure that this conversation is not just a talk, but something that is actionable for the betterment of the digital economy.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of the things that we need to embrace and embrace very well is the openness. So even when it comes to maybe software and all that, you hear things like open source, meaning maybe you can use the Linux OS and you don't have to pay and all that. So we have Open RAN, that is Open Radio Access Network. We have this InfraCro project that NCC was actually pushing like years ago, that when you have a part, because what also affects all of this is the TCO, where the total cost of putting these things down is so high. So what benefit is it going to do me if service provider A is service provider B, and I have a part already that I've trenched and I've laid fiber? It doesn't need to come there and still dig again. You can just come right there. We can swap capacity, of course, which I know happens right now in telecoms, but we can actually improve on that so that we don't keep putting money in the same thing. It's just like my neighbor has a well that they have dug and everything is fine and set, and the water that is coming out of it can serve the whole of the community. Why do we need to now start digging wells everywhere? Maybe we'll put yet another one for redundancy, but not necessarily digging everywhere. Because that money we used to dig another 10, we can actually use it to do another thing, maybe cleaning the water, for instance.
Thank you so much. Collaboration is very important. Shared services is the way to go. Mr. Spencer, in 1 minute, please. Let's wrap up the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what I want to quickly say here is I want to put a fast in on the co-location, that is infrastructure sharing. Is key, because you can't have it all, and we're talking about money today, and you discover that there are a lot of wastages. Government has been able to say that okay, infrastructure sharing should be key, maybe by co-location technology, but we see discover that so many persons have not actually keyed into it. So I believe that government should actually emphasize on it and throw their weight behind co-location, so that because co-location help to reduce a lot of money. For you may not have money to go and build mass, or somebody has built, then you go and rent a space there, then you move into business quickly. So that reduce your CapEx as a case. So I think that government should throw their weight behind this to ensure that this is actually done. Thank you.
All right, and finally, Juliet, please. Security is key to this entire conversation. So how do we ensure that the requisite security apparatus is put in place to secure our infrastructure, ensure our connectivity, and deliver the dividends of digital economy?
Okay, so I will say this. A lot of emphasis has been made on the government's this, government's that, but you as an individual, you as the owner of an enterprise, what are you doing to, like, you have to do your own part, you know, the ones you can do, what you have control over. So I'm going to say this, that as an owner of an enterprise, you should work on your network infrastructure. It should be scalable. If you tomorrow you increase, you happen to expand, does your network expand with you, or you have to start from the beginning to start placing one or two things together? And then the issue of security is something that is very paramount. You know, as a company, as enterprises, you deal with data, and then once your data is being leaked or someone hacked into your data, that could cost you a lot of money. For example, financial institutions, if you have a bank or your information get leaked from your bank, you know, the trust will be there. You see, most times we hear that this bank is folding up, this bank is folding up. Like, the trust should also be there from your customers, and that is why we need adequate security. If possible, train your staff to observe the little security they can observe. Like, phishing is very important, it's very paramount, it's very everywhere now. You know, companies can get mails from a random source, and then one staff will open it, and before you know it, the company information is being leaked. So the enterprises themselves should put adequate security in place, train their staff, and, you know, hire good IT professionals to take care of their data. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't be selfish with your round of applause. Please appreciate this panel. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this conversation. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Hilary, for taking charge of this panel. Can we have the organizer come for a photo session? Can we appreciate them, please? Let's give them a round of applause. It's been a long day since 10 a.m. and by my time, it's 2:42 p.m. Interesting. I wouldn't be saying the thank you on behalf of the organizers, but again, I want to appreciate you for your time and patience, especially also for our online participants. We say a very big thank you. Mr. Isaiah will be doing justice to the vote of thanks, but again, it's been a pleasure doing this with you. And like I said, it's the first one, and so many things, time, energy, funds were put together to do this. We thank God for how it panned out, and we look forward to what is 2.0. Please give it up for the panelists as they go back to their seats. Let's give them a round of applause. Mr. Isaiah, you are still here, so let's finish up with your vote of thanks, and then we can all go for lunch. This is when Mr. Isaiah's bon appetit will now suffice. Amen.
Yes, indeed, it's bon appetit now. I want to thank all of us who stayed to the end. I want to thank my constituency. Thank you so much for all of you who came to show solidarity. Thank you, our own editor, Yemi. Thank you, Fumi, my partner in this business. Thank you, our editor that is eating alone at Nairametrics. Thank you for my big sister, the royal editor of leadership. And thank you, my beautiful sister. We call him Auntie Shineye. Thank you for coming. Digivation. Congratulations, Dr. Bayero and his wonderful team. Thank you, my sister. Our own Romy. Thank you very much. Thank you, my co-partner, Ugochi, Emmanuel, they call us Soki. Thank you very much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making it possible, for making this first edition possible. Indeed, there were so many things that came along for this event. And the shocker, the one that shocked me most was the news I got last night. Is it last night? Very early this morning, around 5 a.m. Said the minister has summoned all the stakeholders to Abuja. I say, ha. In fact, the person that called me happens to be one of the panelists, the chairman of Alton, was supposed to deliver the address that my schoolmate, engineer Spencer Itive, went to the same secondary school. He's doing a program at LBS. He came all the way on Tuesday from Warri to come and deliver the paper, and he saved my ass, like as they say. Thank you, Engineer Spencer. He's a telecom engineer. Was once with IHS. And IHS happened to be our lead sponsor. Let's give a clap for IHS. They did a good job. They did a good job by bankrolling this event. Let's clap for IHS once more. But the sad thing is that IHS, they don't talk. That is and they don't like publicity. So I wonder, I say, when they told me that they're not going to that, I say, why? Say they are publicity shy. I have not seen a company that is publicity shy. You know, some companies, they will beg you to put their story on front page. I remember when I was a business editor in those days in Nigerian Compass. UBA had an AGM and they were begging, they want their photograph on the front page. I'll say you must drop. So thank you, IHS. You did a good thing. Your team is fabulous. I know there are so many of them, Ima, Sima, Eniola, Kayode, and a lot of you guys. Thank you very much. Some of your names I have not been able to cram, but as we begin to visit you shortly, I will get to memorize some of your names. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for every support that you have given me for this very first event. And God will bless you. Thank you. And bon appetit. Thank you.
Part 2. Let's also appreciate him for bringing us together. Thank you very much, Mr. Isaiah. Please, can we be on our feet for the closing anthem? Lunch is served. So let's take the first stanza this time around. 1, 2, go. All right. Follow me to serve our Please, can we just have a group picture here? Everybody, please. The organizer just asked for that. Let's come to the front. Photographer, please arrange us. As soon as that is done, we'll allow our speakers go to the food stand, and we'll have our lunch. Please, thank you, sir. This way, this way. Thank you. Thank you. Don't be camera shy. Thank you. Our dear speaker, Mr. Guntuyi, please. Thank you. IHS, please. NCC, thank you. All our sponsors and speakers in front, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been my utmost pleasure doing this with you. Please, thank you. Yeah, if you have a shot coming, you stay in front. If you have a shot coming. Ourselves.
We are IHS Towers, one of the world's largest operators and developers of shared telecommunications infrastructure. Independently owned with a portfolio of tens of thousands of towers across multiple markets, we are connecting people across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Engineering excellence is at the heart of our business. Right from where we began in Nigeria in 2001, with one single tower and one single solution, to today employing over 2,000 people and offering not one, but 6 solutions. With co-location, new sites, in-building and distributed antenna systems, small cell, fiber, and rural telephony, we're helping more and more people to stay connected every single day. Innovation is our lifeblood. We're investing in the latest technologies to deliver cutting-edge solutions for the world's leading mobile network operators. Sustainability is key. We're utilizing renewable sources to deliver greater efficiencies for our customers and help protect our shared environment. Together, we aim to contribute to a more prosperous future. Connectivity is critical. We're delivering mobile communication coverage to millions of people across the emerging markets, supporting the implementation of nationwide digital agendas. Practical solutions are our business. Combining the power of technology with our integral infrastructure, we are helping to build the networks of the future, working with our customers to bring mobile connectivity to the emerging markets. We are IHS Towers, one of the world's largest operators and developers of shared telecommunications infrastructure. Independently owned, with a portfolio of tens of thousands of towers across multiple markets, we are connecting people across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Engineering excellence is at the heart of our business. Right from where we began in Nigeria in